In his first trip back to New Orleans, it's being traded in the offseason. Both games are on ESPN, and you can see it all on the ESPN app. Meanwhile, did you see this yesterday? Rex, nothing like a fat guy touchdown.
I don't know why you're telling me that, Greeny, but yeah, absolutely. And Vita, I always pronounce his last name wrong. But look at this big old guy, big cat getting the end zone.
347.
Yes, you scored.
I thought that was a dream. I thought it was a dream.
He is Vita Vea. He weighs 347 yards. He is the heaviest listed player ever to catch a touchdown. Now, Rex, your dad and those legendary Bears, William Perry scored touchdowns, but I mean, he never caught one because I think he would have outweighed.
No, he did catch one, but they said he was 335, which I'm like, really? I think he was 335 maybe in high school, but I mean, I'm sure he was 400.
One way or another, congratulations to Vita Vea. That is a great moment there, and it was a very interesting day all across the National Football League. We have a big hour coming your way on Get Up Live, as always, from above the Heineken River Deck at Pier 17, and here's what's on the menu. It is time to get up with Jerry Jones. The D in Big D stood for disaster in New England, and the Cowboys boss sounds like he's finally had enough. We'll get there right off the top. Then the news in Philly is even worse, and it comes in the form of a question. What is wrong with Carson Wentz? We'll see if Dan Orlovsky has an answer. And then if there was any question about San Francisco, that was answered last night. Did you see what they did to Aaron Rodgers? You're going to as we get this hour started. Let's get up right now with the game of the day. Patriots, Cowboys in Foxborough. What more could you ask? You got the rain, you got the swirling wind, you got the ultimate drama of these two huge teams in such an incredibly important game for the Cowboys, and it is the special teams that let them down.
And this is why the Patriots are who they are, and Slater's the best special teams player in the NFL. Just watch him get skinny through the block and then get his right hand, just that right pinky right on the football, tip it up in the air. Obviously the play of the game for New England.
No question, and you notice it wouldn't have been a penalty. If he doesn't get the ball, he doesn't even hit the kicker. It's perfectly done, and then it sets up this. N'Keal Harry, the only touchdown of the day.
This has got to be a bright spot for this Patriots offense. The back shoulder fade, Tom to N'Keal Harry, great placement and great hand-eye coordination, getting his feet in bounds. Big touchdown for New England off that block punt.
And then they would turn their defense loose. And here's Dak Prescott with a bad snap and then a bad throw. Rex, how about the pick?
Yeah, I love it. By the way, this is the NFL's defensive MVP. Stephon Gilmore, what he's meant to this team, the plays he makes. Greeny, you talked about it earlier. He had more receptions than Amari Cooper did.
He was chasing Cooper all over the field. He caught that ball, and Cooper caught none. Patriots would turn that into a field goal. It was 10-0. Fourth quarter, Cowboys down 7. They've had almost no offense in this game, but they changed that on a big play to Randall Cobb.
Great throw by Dak, up over the underneath defender to Randall Cobb. He's streaking down the sideline. Speed from McCourty comes to punch that ball out. Fortunate bounce to recover, but this was a big moment for Dallas as they drive down the field.
It's a 59-yard play, and so now late in the drive, they have a 3rd and 7 from the 11-yard line. Are you thinking 4-down territory? If you are, Dak probably takes off and runs with this. Instead, he floats it to the back of the end zone. Blake Jarwin clearly out of bounds, so they decide to kick the field goal. Rex, you hate it.
I hate it, absolutely hate it.
Dan,
I disagree. I think it's a good decision with 6 minutes left on the clock.
El, break the tie.
Estúpido!
Thank you.
Thank you, El.
13-9. Pats now looking to pick up a first down and keep the Cowboys off the field. They can't. So Dak and that offense have a chance to win it, a chance to make the coach's decision look good. 2 minutes to play. 3rd and 1 at the 35. This is going to be a first down on a nice little dump off there for Zeke Elliott, but hold everything. You see the flag. It is the second tripping call of the day. This one's on 72 in the center of your screen there, Frederick.
It's freaking terrible.
It's just terrible, and John Parry, our NFL rules analyst, confirms.
So after review, both tripping calls in that Dallas game, incorrect calls. The defender has a strong bull rush in both cases, gets the blocker off balance, and there is no intentional or overt act to lift the leg by the blocker to create the tripping call.
To make that call at that moment of the game is absolutely astonishing. In the meantime, it sets up a 4th down here, and they're throwing it for Amari Cooper, and at first it's ruled a catch and a first down, but as you'll see on the replay, he clearly doesn't catch it. So the Cowboys are going to turn it over on downs, and Tom Brady says, we have a chance to put this one away, and they do, and they do it on the ground.
They do it with Sony Michel and their left tackle Isaiah Wynn. Both Bulldogs. Watch left tackle. Pop! Right there. Peel off Sean Lee. Trying to backdoor that run game. Outstanding finish for New England.
Pats get the win, and Jerry Jones afterward, just listen to this.
a significant setback for our team. We needed this win. We needed to win against an opponent like this. We haven't had them. This is very frustrating. It's frustrating to just be reminded that some of the fundamentals of football and coaching were what beat us out there today. I don't think there's a game that a coaching staff has areas that couldn't do better in. And I just don't like it that we've got so many as I'm standing here tonight. I think you're going to get out coached when you come to, during this era, when you come into New England. I do. I think you are. And I give him his not due there, but it's just what you're dealing with. But my point is, don't get yourself in a spot to where you have to come up here and beat him and beat them on a day like today. Don't get in a spot with that determining want to be about, with that determining where you're going. The makeup of this team, I shouldn't be this frustrated.
Holy smoke. So, I mean, we left a lot of that in there for you because you really needed to hear it. That's not something you ever hear from an NFL owner during a season, especially with a team that remains in first place.
Right.
Rex, if you're the coach and you hear the owner say that, what are you thinking?
Well, you're going to get fired. I mean, when you're, look, let's face it. I get where Jerry Jones is coming from. He's got the best roster in the NFL. And when you're saying you're going to get out-coached by Bill Belichick, like, to me, oh, my God. I used to go in and say, no, I'm going to out-coach him. But I feel it. I knew that he was going to get out-coached. So did Jerry. Like, to me, this guy's had 9 lives. He ain't getting a 10th.
Cuckoo, cuckoo. A few weeks ago, Jerry talked about how Jason Garrett got his stamp of approval and he's the guy and whatnot. How is this the tipping point that you went to a place that no one wins? They've won 21 straight games now at Foxborough, and you went up against 2 of the GOATs and you lost. How is this the tipping point for Jerry to say this isn't enough? It's not the fact that Jason Garrett's only had 2 playoff wins in 10 years. That's not the tipping point. This is the tipping point, Dan. Come on.
Expectations. He put together a team that he expects to go up and beat the Patriots in Foxborough. Listen to him. He even sounds defeated. He knows, like Jerry Jones knows, I've got the right players. I don't think I have the right person leading them. He said what beat us was fundamentals of coaching. It wasn't that lack of talent. It wasn't the weather. They've got a star quarterback, star running back, star receiver, left tackle, center, defensive tackle, linebacker, and corner. They're 6-5. There's only 2 reasons for him to be disappointed, either with the wrong expectations or you have the wrong person. His expectations are to win that game and go to the Super Bowl. And that's not happening right now.
Based on what?
Star quarterback.
And it's been that
they are
way,
so
Dan.
talented.
They've been that talented.
And so this is the most talented Cowboys team in a long time.
Sure.
So the expectations are, I put together this team. We drafted this team. We paid these people. We're more talented than everyone we're playing against week by week by week, yet we're 6-5.
I tell you,
so he's got expectations and they're not being met.
The paying piece of it is big too. We talked about it at the time. He didn't have to give Zeke Elliott the contract that he gave him when he did. He did it because he thought this was, rightly or wrongly, a Super Bowl team, and they haven't played that way. I want to get to a couple of different things with this game. The tripping calls. Now, look, there are a lot of reasons the Cowboys lost this game yesterday. They went in there and didn't score a touchdown the entire day. It's hard to blame that on the officiating. But wow, to make that call in that spot, Rex, was a very tough one to stomach.
Granny, yeah, it was absolutely brutal. But this call was made because earlier in the week, I can assure you that Belichick sent probably video evidence to Al Riveron and just said, hey, look, this is what they do. So when we take inside charges, be alert for this. And then when they come in to meet with the coach before the game, I'm sure he reminded him, hey, look, man, be watching for our inside charges here and see if we don't get a tripping call.
I hear you. And so, look, that is well done by Belichick. Teams do that every single week, right? You'll send some note or other to the officials, and they can do whatever they wish with it. But at the end of the day, Hembo just put a stat up there. There hadn't been a team that got called for tripping twice in a game in 4 years. They throw a second flag for that yesterday in that spot of that game. Dan, what are we doing?
It's another game in the NFL, good game, that gets ruined by a terrible call by the officiating. And here's the interesting thing that it just hit my head. We talk about these penalties all the time, and then we kind of reference them saying someone's going to lose their job over it. Cowboys are 6-5. And if they don't make the playoffs and if they don't win that division, they're going to fire their head coach. And every game matters to them. I don't know if they're going to go on and win that football game and go score. I don't know. But I know this. That call had a big impact on that moment in that game.
Did it have a bigger impact than not going for it on 4th and 7 and kicking a field goal? I'm sorry, because the tripping, yes. Were they tripping? Was it a terrible call? Yes. That doesn't even matter if they don't go for that field goal on 4th and 7. I don't understand. You were down a touchdown. You kick a field goal. You're still down a touchdown.
Because
what's the point?
These are why what's happening in a game matters. They had not had a 3rd down conversion all game, but one, and it was on a run. You're 4th and 7. You haven't done anything on 3rd or 4th down. The Patriots have given up eight 3rd and long or 4th and long conversions this year. So you're down by a touchdown. There's 6 minutes left. You kick the field goal there. You had already gone on a 78-yard drive that game. You know you're going to get the football back. I have a better chance in that moment of getting the football back and scoring a touchdown than I do making that 4th and 7 conversion.
But that's why it's so problematic, Dan. I understand why you don't want to go for it on 4th and 7, but coach, to that point, you've got to know that that's 4-down territory from the minute Dak has the ball. And on 2nd and 3rd down, they just threw the ball away.
What makes it right? 4th and 7 is not 4th and 3. 4th and 3, it's a different conversation. But if it was 4th and 10,
do you think that Dak knew that was a 4-down
exactly
situation?
Right. It is a different conversation because everybody would have gone for it on 4th and 3, correct?
Yeah.
That's why you tell them it's a 4-down situation. You can't assume, by the way, we're making a big assumption you're going to get the ball back without New England scoring. I think that's a huge assumption, especially when they're coming from the 25, when they get the ball from the 25-yard line as compared to the 8 or whatever you'd have it on. So to me, that's a thing. I totally, Greeny, you talked about, well, they're going to make this, this would be a great decision right here.
Yeah.
Back in the coach made the right decision. No, it wasn't. It was not the right decision. It was a horrible tripping call, but it clearly was not the right decision. And I can promise you, I would have gone for the touchdown right there because you haven't scored all day.
You haven't got
but you were inside the 10-yard line, man.
One way or another, the end result is the Cowboys a 6-5 team watching to see what happens the rest of the way with a tough schedule and one game up on the Eagles.
That's right, until they faced the Seahawks. Russell Wilson and those Seahawks undefeated on the road this season, taking on Carson Wentz and the Eagles in Philly. Yes, he was missing 3 receivers, but Dan, what we saw in the first quarter is just undefensible.
Yeah, this one, you don't see this in the NFL. You don't see this in college football where this ball comes off his hand, super weird. Does the wind take it? I don't know, but it's a brutal miss. I don't think Sanders gets in either way, but that looks bad.
They settled for a field goal later on. Seahawks down by that field goal. Look at this, the flea flicker, perfect execution.
This is why it's tough to blame the wind on that first Carson throw because Russell Wilson throws an absolute dart cutting through the wind with all the revolutions. Great flea flicker touchdown.
Eagles trying to answer on the next drive. They do not. Wentz is stripped. Al Woods recovers. Rasheem Green punching the ball loose.
He needs to do a better job of keeping 2 hands on the football in the pocket, knowing where bodies are, making sure you're valuing that football.
Not done because he tied a career high with 3 fumbles. This one as well, recovered by Quentin Jefferson, who laterals. The ball ends up being picked up by Shaquem Griffin, and they would land on the 32-yard line. But Wentz was hurt in this play and would have to leave.
Well, it starts because the mesh point gets blown up by Seattle's defense, and then Carson's trying to chase down the ball carrier to make this tackle. Gets the big body, Jefferson falling right on the right shoulder. It was one of those moments like, man, anything that can go wrong for us will.
Well, it went right because his x-rays were negative, so he was able to return. That might have been to the detriment of his team. 4th quarter we go.
Stop that.
Same score, 1st and 20. Rashad Penny had a coming-out game.
Yeah, shout out to Brian Schottenheimer on this play call. 1st and 20, aggressive defensive line. You get them going upfield, trap them. Darby not able to make the tackle downfield. Moore with the jump over. Huge run by Penny.
129 yards for Rashad Penny. 17-3 Seahawks. Carson Wentz with 1 more opportunity and 1 more turnover.
Listen, quarterbacks, if you are going to try and hit this honey hole and cover 2 to the field, you better throw that ball high and away and have an absolute howitzer attached to your shoulder to make it.
Wentz falling on the figurative sword afterwards.
And so down they go on what was a bad day. And the one thing you couldn't quite hear in that highlight there is that when Wentz is going off the field, he is getting booed like crazy. And we didn't get to this in our first go-around, but you've been a quarterback and you've been booed and you've had your quarterbacks booed and you know what that is. And Philly, we all know it's a tough place. They have the kind of schedule the rest of the way. The Eagles are not done by any means. But when your quarterback is getting booed like that at home, what does that do to a team?
Well, first off, it's Philly. They booed Santa Claus. So, I mean, it's part of the deal. However, man, this is your quarterback. The problem is the Philly needs to get behind the quarterback and support this guy. Instead, they're not. What I saw was a quarterback right now that he's not comfortable. I don't know how healthy he is. Looked like, and Dan, you know more than I do, looked like he was aiming those throws, those underneath things, instead of ripping it. And to me, that's what they got to get back to doing. I don't think this team's going anywhere unless they get healthy. If they get healthy, there's no reason why they can't win this division.
Yeah, I have no questions that Carson Wentz is a star in the NFL. No question about it. He was missing a lot of people yesterday. That being said, when Howie Roseman and Lurie cut that check to you with this offseason, they hand it over to you and go, the expectation is that when those guys are out, you can overcome, right? When Russell Wilson's kind of the benchmark of it, you overcome those people being out by the way that you play. The little things that you do. You can't have the turnovers. You can't have the missed throws. You've got to be perfect to overcome that stuff. And Carson's not there yet. Getting booed, it's hard. Like, there's a lot of layers to this. Comes from a small area, right? Comes from a small school where he was the king. He's the early draft pick that was lighting the league on fire, MVP. I did radio in Philadelphia last week. There are people who are clamoring to trade Carson Wentz, trade Carson Wentz. So you have thick skin, you better have reptile.
I got to tell you, I mean, you better have skin like an armadillo. I get it, which I know is armor. However, I will say this, Carson Wentz right here, the thing that I noticed in the wind, he wasn't confident, right? It was really windy. Then isn't that when you rip it? You got to just cut it loose and let it go. Did we see Russell Wilson? Yeah, he did. So to me, he was aiming and all that. But this team right here, I mean, I would love for Philly to finally get behind this kid. It's not going to happen. And why? They put that stupid statue out there of the backup quarterback.
Very quickly, are you getting behind the Eagles or the Cowboys for the rest of the run?
I'm taking Philadelphia. Defense is playing great, and I hope they get healthy on offense, and I will take the quarterback.
Well, I'm going to say what happened here. Dallas, they should be the thing. They have the most talent. They're going to win Thursday night, and nobody expects it against Buffalo. They're going to win that game. So it's going to come down to who wins that matchup with Dallas and Philly, and I'm going to take Philly.
And I'm going to take the Cowboys, and we'll see what winds up happening. In the meantime, all of those teams are looking up in the standings in the NFC at the San Francisco 49ers. And by that I include Aaron Rodgers, who was dominated last night by that Niners defensive front.
Had no chance. Way too many third and long situations where that front that you're talking about, Greeny, get home time after time after time with their rush.
This is in the first 2 minutes of the game last night. Nick Bosa with the sack. We got a strip. We got a fumble. We got the 49ers then scoring a Tevin Coleman touchdown, and right away they're up 7-0, and then it goes from bad to worse. Brian Balaga's going out of the game.
And listen, this is good coaching because Robert Saleh, defensive coordinator for the 49ers, sees Balaga go out and he goes, Nick Bosa, you go rush the other side. A little tight end or a little tackle end stunt by him and Armstead. Easy for them to get home.
Armstead with one of sacks on the night. Then later in the drive, the one moment that it looked like the Packers have a big play here to Jimmy Graham, but he doesn't hold on.
Ridiculous throw by Rodgers. Jimmy Graham has to catch this football. I was with Collinsworth. I thought the Packers were going to challenge this in the moment because they were struggling to find some.
They didn't. So in the end, it was only 7 yards receiving for Graham on the night, and Rodgers would have just 41 yards passing in the first. Just look at that defense.
Yeah, I mean, how about that? Defense dominating a football game. Best defense in the national.
That's more from Nick Bosa here after a Packer touchdown and a two-point conversion. The one moment that it looks like Green Bay might make it a game, San Francisco turns to George Kittle and he's loose.
Kyle Shanahan dialed it up. This is a base play that they built it off of post to Kittle.
Let's hear.
We've been running that since like week 1. We're running like 2 or 3 times a week. That's like a 50-yard route every single time. So it's pretty, I'm just like, hey, Kyle, like, relax. Like, I'm a tight end.
He's a good tight end. 6 catches, 129 yards in that. More of the same. He would finish. He was sacked.
That's what this team right here,
So
they got
we have
tough
watched
schedule.
here in these
Who
opening
cares?
18 minutes.
If you're the best team in the league, which I think you are, it doesn't matter who you play.
Dan, I want to go to the Packers.
We're not talking about
just a couple of weeks ago after they lost to the Chargers. It was one of those, you have
Really
those
good
games. There's
defenses.
no
The
concern.
Patriots
There's
on one
nothing to
side
think
who
about.
have.
Just move on. We're not talking about twice in the same month that their offense has been completely blanked. So are you concerned?
I'm not concerned, but he still have. So you have to play perfect football on first down. And I'm telling you, if you don't get 3 or 4 yards on first down, your series is done. So I don't have a massive concern over Green Bay. They need to handle those situations better. I mean, they need to know who they're playing against and where they're playing against them to handle it better. You got to change your game plan. Gary Kubiak was great at this. Changing your game plan depending on who you were playing against and where you were playing against. Making sure you don't beat yourself type thing. So I don't have concerns. Devontae Adams still getting a little healthier. Jimmy Graham needs to play better. Rodgers will play better. But yesterday was a butt kicking.
Face it, the 49ers had a kick in the air that would have won an overtime game against Seattle on a Monday night. They'd be unbeaten right now. As we continue, the one moment that could have turned the Cowboys' season around, and it went terribly wrong, how Bill Belichick and the Patriots won the biggest play of that game. And it was a big moment for Dwayne Haskins, his first win as a starting quarterback. So where was he when it was over? You're not going to believe this. It's next. Get Up on ESPN.
Cheese.
Anchovies. Meat with extra meat. Meat extra sauce. Vegetarian. Buffalo chicken. Nice. Mixed nuts. And a cheese. So you guys like having a house party or something?
When it's your own slice of heaven, that's when a house becomes home. Rocket Mortgage. Push button, get mortgage.
I'm clearly not the boss here. But with the DQ sauced and tossed chicken strip basket, I'm the sauce boss. It's my choice of honey barbecue or spicy sweet glazed made with Frank's Red Hot.
Eyes closed.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
DQ. Happy tastes good.
While America celebrated the fall of Prohibition, Jim Beam didn't raise a single glass. He wanted his first drink to be of his own bourbon. He didn't have much money, but he did have a few friends, people who were raised the right way. Over 120 days, they rebuilt the distillery. And while their names might not be on our bottle, it's because of them we can raise this bourbon today. Jim Beam, raised right.
Christmas trees try so hard. Lights and ornaments and little choo-choo trains, come on. The best trees, they kind of only need 2 things. Peanut butter and chocolate. Not sorry, Reese's.
Rated E to M.
What are we playing?
The Outer Worlds.
Oh, shrink 'em. Smaller. Shrink rag. Whatever you're into, discover your next favorite game with Xbox Game Pass.
Join now and get your first 3 months for $1.
Surprise! A new Buick? For me?
To James from James. That's just what I wanted.
Is this a new Buick? I Secret Santed myself. I shouldn't have. I have been very good this year. I love it. I love it.
This year turned Black Friday into Buick Friday, all month long. Current eligible non-GM owners and lessees get 20% below MSRP on most of these 2019 Buick models.
At
At AutoZone, batteries are kind of our thing. After our free testing, turns out she just needed new cables. This guy, just a fresh charge. And for them, it was time for a change. Welcome to America's #1 battery destination. Getting the job done just got easier.
Is there a standoff brewing in your home? Can't agree on a traditional coffee maker versus a single serve? Steer clear of a showdown with the Cuisinart Coffee Center and have the best of both worlds, all with one appliance. The single-serve brewer uses our home barista reusable filter cup or any variety K-cup with 3 cup sizes and instant heat up. The programmable 12-cup brewer lets you enjoy premium features like adjustable brew strength, auto on and off, and brew pause. The Cuisinart Coffee Center. When it comes to coffee makers, you can have it all.
Did you get a whole Thanksgiving?
Well, you remember what happened last year?
You can't bring a backup Thanksgiving to my sister's house.
It's not like we're gonna walk in with it. We'll bring it in as we need it. Phase it in.
Phase it in?
Yeah, phase it in.
We call it the mother standard of care. It's how we care for our cancer patients, like Job. When he was diagnosed with cancer, his team at CTCA created a personalized care plan to treat his cancer and side effects, so Job could continue to work and stay strong for his family. This is how we inspire hope. This is how we heal.
Love you, Daddy. Good night.
Love you guys.
Cancer Treatment Centers of America. Appointments available now.
Fired up for the big feast? How about feasting on this?
Diamonds are forever like family and loyalty.
Watching for this homecoming? Nets Celtics. Lakers Pelicans. Wednesday on ESPN. Ball for all.
We have a big half hour coming your way here on Get Up. In 5 minutes, who is to blame for the Cowboys' loss yesterday and perhaps a lost season? Dwayne Haskins, where was he while his team was winning? That photo you see there is sort of a hint. And then don't miss Stephen A. with his thoughts on the Cowboys yesterday. We look forward to Stephen A. joining us, but not as much as we look forward to this. A little sneaky Hembo time. Which is the last team the Cowboys beat in the regular season that entered that game with a winning record?
I know this.
I gotta say.
I think I know this.
Don't say it yet. We'll do it in a minute. Get Up on ESPN.
Humira patients, you inspire us. The way you triumph over adversity and live your lives. That's why we redesigned Humira. We wanted to make the experience better for you. Now there's less pain immediately following injection. We've reduced the size of the needle and removed the citrate buffers. And it has the same effectiveness you know and trust. Humira citrate-free is here. A little change can make a big difference.
Humira can lower your ability to fight infections. Serious and sometimes fatal infections, including tuberculosis and cancers, including lymphoma, have happened, as have blood, liver, and nervous system problems, serious allergic reactions, and new or worsening heart failure. Tell your doctor if you've been to areas where certain fungal infections are common, and if you've had TB, hepatitis B, are prone to infections, or have flu-like symptoms or sores. Don't start Humira if you have an infection.
Ask your doctor about Humira citrate-free. Here's to you.
Howdy, folks, it's dinner time. Chickens fried and tasty sides. All of this for just $20. Get it from a KFC. Howdy, folks.
Get a $20 fill-up delivered or at a KFC. She wanted to move someplace warm.
But he wanted snow for the holidays. So we built a snow globe.
Get that later.
But the one thing we could both agree on was getting Geico to help with our homeowner's insurance.
What?
Switching and saving was really easy.
I love you!
Sweetie, hands off the glass.
Ugh.
Call Geico and see how easy saving on homeowners and condo insurance can be.
I love her!
There's something out there for you and me. And the American road is calling. So what's it gonna be? Hey, it's an amazing day, traveling our own highway. No matter where it leads us, we can smile, 'cause it's leaning in the miles.
DXL is built as the one-stop shop for big and tall guys, with sizes starting at XL and over 100 brands that fit great and look even better. DXL Big and Tall, built to fit at DXL.com.
What a feast. Spiced ham, carb turkey, prime rib on the weekends. At a price that lets me treat the whole family. Doesn't get more festive than that. Or does it?
Prime rib weekends at Golden Corral. The only one for everyone.
Just a few ticks left on the clock. Lillard checking the inbox.
He's got to open up a new draft.
Got to be careful with typos and punctuation here. There's no time to edit and resend.
And send.
Another gorgeous buzzer-beating email.
Just remarkable.
Back on Get Up in the game of the day yesterday, the Cowboys and the Patriots, and this was how it would finish. Again, it's a 7-point game, and this is a 3rd and 7 in the scoring territory, and you would think maybe they're thinking 4-down territory, but they're not. So Prescott with a floating one there to Blake Jarwin, then Rex Ryan, they decide to kick the field goal on 4th and 7, and you hate it.
Yeah, I hate it, absolutely hate it. You're there to try to win a game. You got to beat the Patriots there. That's the wrong mentality. No surprise Dallas was like
They
that.
wind up kicking the field goal, so it's 13-9. And again, the Cowboys have a good chance here. They're going to have a first down. They're going to have the clock stopped here in the final 2 minutes, but hold everything. For the second time in the game, a tripping penalty is called on the Cowboys. That one's on 72. Frederick, the center. I point that out because it's not obvious which guy watching that they might have called it on because no one was tripping anyone. It's a terrible call. And then it leads to this, which is a good call on a 4th down pass to Amari Cooper. They originally call it a catch. Here it is overturned. Clearly he doesn't catch the ball. It goes over on downs, and the Patriots would run out the clock. They win it by a score of 13-9, which begs the question, Rex Ryan. I know how you love Sneaky Hembo.
Yes.
Which is the last team the Cowboys beat in the regular season that entered the game with a winning record? Let the record show L. Duncan got it right.
Yeah, I'm going to say it's the Washington Redskins. Last year, we're like, how the heck did the Redskins win? Look, no, I never get one right.
No, because you were a week off. You were a week later, they beat the Saints, week 13. So they did beat Washington on Thanksgiving, who did have a winning record at the time. But a week later, they beat the Saints on a Thursday
Greeny,
night.
is anybody ever closer without hitting the mark than me? I mean, last week was a disaster over the Miami Dolphins.
No, I think you're working your way towards this, Rex.
Yeah.
I think I'm very impressed. All right, Elle, where do we go from here?
Who dat? Knowing from experience is brought to you by Farmers Insurance. When it comes to Sneaky Himbo, I know everything. When it comes to breaking down plays, that's our man Dan Orlovsky, and you just saw them talk about the controversial decision to not go for it and kick the field goal there. I seem to think they should have set the Mel's in a better position to go for that. You seem to think that the Cowboys did. It's just something the Patriots did better.
The Patriots get all 11 guys to play at 1 when they need them to be at their best, and they do it. 3rd and 7. Couple things to point out. First of all, that's Jamie Collins, the linebacker for New England. Patriots are playing man-to-man coverage, so he's got this tailback in coverage by himself. Second guy to point out is Kyle Van Noy right down here. Kyle Van Noy is just playing defensive end. He's going to rush the passer. All is good. Cowboys do a really good job with their play call. They're going to flush this tailback out wide. Now, Jamie Collins, because he's got him in man-to-man, he better go run and chase that tailback because there's going to be all this traffic as he's chasing. What do we see all the time in this situation? In man-to-man coverage. All these bodies are going to pick this linebacker running, chasing Zeke, and Zeke's going to have an easy throw, easy completion. Cowboys are going to convert. Watch what happens. Remember, I told you to pay attention to Kyle Van Noy and Jamie Collins, right? Get all 11 to play as 1 exactly when they need to. Kyle Van Noy now has traded off with Jamie Collins. Kyle Van Noy is going to go cover Zeke in man-to-man coverage. Collins is now rushing Dak. Who's Dak want to throw this football to? Dak wants to throw that football to Zeke, but he sees that Van Noy has dropped out. These guys have switched roles. There's nowhere to throw the football to, and Dak has to scramble and make a play. Try to make a play. There's that saying, give me 6 hours to chop down a tree, and I'll spend the first 4 sharpening my axe. The Patriots made that play because they spend all week sharpening their axe, and they know what to do as one unit when they need to the most.
And not pictured there is when they decided to go for it on 4th down.
Can
you pull that one up? That's right, they didn't go for it on fourth down. They kept it a one-possession touchdown
and
possession
it was
game.
The right
no,
decision.
it wasn't the right decision.
They had the ball
based on what? They were inside the 8-yard line. That's as close as they've been all night. Okay.
Weren't going to convert. This was the right choice.
Fine, they don't convert. They hand the ball back over on down inside the 10-yard line. You put it back on your defense, who played very serviceably, right? And then you get the ball back with better field position so that you can make that game win.
And then you still only you could potentially win the game with the 2-point conversion. You kick the field goal, your defense gets you the ball back, you go down, you score, you win the game, game over, touchdown.
I have a feeling Stephen A. Smith has some thoughts on this. Real fast, did you notice when Greeny walked in this morning, he wasn't walking so much as he was floating on air?
I wonder why
that could be.
Because I watched Sam Darnold play football yesterday, ladies and gentlemen. Darnold and the Jets hosting the Raiders. And Sam Darnold, I'll just say it, Rex, he is right now as good as any player in the National Football League.
Oh, my goodness.
Look at Braxton Berrios, 61 yards to the 1, would set up a score on the next play, and the Jets would take a 20-3 lead. Now on the next drive, you're going to watch a little flea flicker action here. And look at this throw, Danny, from Darnold.
I love this throw by Sam Darnold. Nice and high for Robbie Anderson. Go to make the contested catches. Aggressive throw with the flea flicker.
And Darnold then would find Anderson, Robbie Anderson, that is. Look at that throw.
His feet are pointing to the left, and then he makes that really accurate throw on a line to Anderson to the right. Love it.
And then the Jet defense would get into the act. This is Brian Poole running one back for a touchdown. Derek Carr would get taken out of this game. 34-3, the final score in here. And so, Dan, I will ask you the question this way. Is Sam Darnold a really good player, or is he the best player you've ever seen?
I don't know how to answer that. Listen, I'm all in on Darnold. You know that. I am on the Darnold high.
And I'm coming over here because you've been a hater.
Great
You've been down on Darnold.
You've been a hater.
You have been down on Darnold.
A hater.
You are telling me Daniel Jones is the best quarterback in the league.
Daniel Jones is
get
better.
Out of here.
He is. You guys are crazy.
You don't believe that.
How about the underthrown ball on that? The one you said was a perfect one. Outstanding call. Wait a second.
Aggressive throw?
He's underthrowing that thing. This guy. His feet aren't in there. Fundamentals are horrible.
Let's be serious.
I mean, seriously, I think the guy's a heck of a player. He's got to get better. And Daniel Jones, same way.
Let's talk about the significance, however, of this game from the other side. The Raiders are red hot. They come into this game in the playoff picture and off a bunch of wins in a row. And then they allow things like this to happen. They got obliterated. I obviously watched all of this game. This was never a game from the jump. How does something like this happen to the Raiders? Look where it puts them in the playoff picture.
I mean, their defense is, let's face it, it's one of the bottom defenses in the league. Definitely in the bottom third in the league. And that's what showed up. Look, they're about a year ahead of where I thought they would be. I think when they make that move to Vegas, that they're going to have a shot at possible playoff type team. But right now they're ahead of schedule. But, man, they showed up. I mean, you've got to beat the Jets. You've got to win games you're supposed to.
It's hard to beat Sam Darnold, bro. It's hard to beat Sam Darnold.
Yeah, nobody else has done it.
Dak Prescott found that out.
Nobody else has done it. Yes, he did.
Yeah. Let me ask you seriously.
They have won 3 games in a row, though. To the Jets' credit, they are, and the reason they're winning is their defense is really playing well. And, look, they have the number 1 rush defense in the National Football League. And so, look, the pieces are there. I think we're seeing why literally all the Jet fans expected this kind of performance, albeit at the beginning of the year.
Yes, there have been a lot of ups and downs, mostly downs on the season. Right now they're playing very well, and I'll take it quickly. Who's the last playoff team in the AFC? Assuming we're putting Buffalo in because they have a big record and a good schedule, who's the other wild card that's going to get in?
I would say Cleveland, because they're not turning the football over, or the Tennessee Titans. The Tennessee Titans have the second best run game in the NFL right now. Violent defense, and Tannehill's been really, really good in the red zone. But I'll say Cleveland.
Yeah, the Browns, you see, they have a very easy schedule. Rex, who you like?
Yeah, well, unless I get some kind of credit, I'm not saying them. I mean, I need some kind of credit, and I'm going to give it to the Cleveland Browns right here. What's that?
Who do you want credit from?
From Baker Mayfield
and company. I need it from you, Baker.
Let me then show you what else happened yesterday. So The Detroit Lions are losing by 3 points in Washington yesterday, and Jeff Driscoll has just been intercepted by Fabian Moreau. So the Washington has won the game. They are going to win, but there is still time left on the clock. Dwayne Haskins has just won his first game as an NFL starter. He goes over immediately. You saw him there run to the stands and take that selfie with a fan. He misses the fact that there were still 2 seconds on the clock, and Case Keenum has to go out there and take the final snap that ends the game. Now, is this a critical mistake? Obviously not, in the sense that it doesn't have any impact on the outcome of the game. But I did see a lot of reaction from, among others, Joe Theismann, former Washington quarterback, suggesting that this was a moment that showed a lot of maturity on the part of Dwayne Haskins. I guess the question is, how big a deal, if any, should be made of the fact that he's taking a selfie instead of taking that?
No, I mean, it's a huge deal. Are you kidding me? Look, first off, the Redskins win their second game of the year.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's 2 times they've won without scoring an offensive touchdown.
True.
So, Dwayne Haskins, you were great. You should have thrown three touchdowns to your guy at Ohio State, McLaren. I mean, I mean, get over there and do your job. But it just shows right here, there's a lack of professionalism in this young man. And I understand he's a good kid, but man, oh man. And here's the other thing. Can we talk about this? What was worse than that?
Yeah.
Was the way they managed the clock.
Terrible.
They had 26 seconds on first down. They kicked the field goal, game-winning field goal. There's 26 seconds left, and that team had 3 timeouts. So I don't know which was worse, the way they handled the clock or this kid taking a selfie.
Get off my lawn. I'm a grumpy old man.
Thank you.
I am not a grumpy old man.
You know what?
He
should act like he's been there before.
Yeah, that
he
was
never
awful.
has.
He never has.
Dan.
It's the first. No, listen. Is it immature? I'm not going to argue that. But let's not crucify the kid over in the moment having joyous reaction like a child and choosing the wrong type of celebration. Like, if he does it the second time, we can have a conversation. But he's a kid. It's his first NFL win. Take it from someone who wasn't fortunate enough to get a bunch of them. Like, getting a win in the NFL matters to you.
I'm with you, Dan. I wouldn't either.
Coach, the lack of professionalism is an organization that was using his reputation as a sticking point to go back and forth with each other. They did that very publicly. So if the kid wants to celebrate winning his first game, then that's okay, because that's where the lack of professionalism starts, in the front office.
Ideally, after the clock is actually hit 0.
By the way.
In a perfect
it's fan
world,
interaction, Greeny.
The game will be over. Meanwhile, coming up here on Get Up, Jerry Jones not happy after the Cowboys' performance yesterday, but we'll tell you someone who probably was. Stephen A. Smith probably loved it. We'll find out when he joins us live next. Get Up on ESPN.
With Domino's new delivery insurance, if your delivery isn't what you expected, we'll make it right. It could be a missing dipping sauce or a wrong topping. We want to make up for that mistake. Gosh, thank you. Get 2 medium, 2 topping pizzas delivered for $5.99 each and put our delivery insurance to the test.
Rated T through F.
Slow motion is better than no motion. 4 goons in the black bourbon and we coasting to the spot to set up shop and we posting. Up glasses in the air, yeah, we toasting.
PS4 bundle starting at $199.
PlayStation. 'Tis the season to mix things up in a Cadillac. Give your comfy couch a break. Take the fireplace with you. Leave the holiday party in the past. And have a not-so-silent night with 3 rows of friends. So go ahead, get 0% APR for 72 months plus $1,000 purchase allowance on a 2019 Cadillac XT4 and XT5 when you finance through GM Financial.
I'm a corporate attorney. I defend chemical companies.
Now you can defend me.
Something's very wrong. There are thousands of sick people.
You need to tell me what's going on.
Do you really want to know?
Dark Waters, rated PG-13.
In an era of online retail where everything is just a few clicks away, buying a car should be no different. That's why at Carvana, you can buy a car 100% online. We made it easy to browse, view, and buy from over 10,000 cars. You can even trade in your old car, all while binge watching your favorite TV show. Afterwards, we'll deliver your car to you. Or you can pick it up from one of our car vending machines. Either way, your car comes with a 7-day return policy. So grab a seat, relax in your comfy pants, and enjoy the new way to buy a car at Carvana.
They have played to their standard every time they've taken the field.
This is what we love about college football. It's not cut and dry.
But are they going to be a national championship team?
What the committee will favor, whether it's resume and strength of schedule.
College football, we brag about every week. It matters.
This is the most exciting I think I can remember. We have 6, maybe even 7 teams in contention for this thing.
The College Football Playoff Top 25 Ranking Show, Tuesday at 7 on ESPN, presented by PlayStation.
Get up, and the Dallas Cowboys went to New England yesterday and fell 13-9 in a game in which their offense didn't score a touchdown for the first time all year. They were just 2 of 13 on third down. They had multiple special teams issues. And after it was over, Jerry Jones was not pleased.
This is very frustrating. It's frustrating to do it, to just be reminded that some of the fundamentals of football and coaching were what beat us out there today. I don't think there's a game that a coaching staff has areas that it couldn't do better in. I don't like it that we've got so many as I'm standing here tonight. The makeup of this team, I shouldn't be this frustrated.
That's a little shorter version of a lengthy conversation that was had with Jerry Jones that we played in its entirety earlier. And so we bring Stephen A. into the conversation, 14 minutes until first take here. Frustrated that the fundamentals of football and coaching are what cost us. Steve, when you hear Jerry Jones saying that, what do you think?
Jason Garrett's going to be fired. It's obvious. I mean, this is it for him. This is his last season as head coach of the Dallas Cowboys, and it's long overdue. He should have been going years ago. I was one of the mindset that when Jason Garrett went back-to-back 8-8 seasons for 3 consecutive years, people keep forgetting about that history. He not only went 8-8 for 3 consecutive years, he lost the last game of the regular season with the division crown on the line. And it wasn't to like a nemesis, like the same team beat your, oh, no. All 3 teams beat him. The Giants one year, the Redskins another, the Eagles another. He should have been going a long time ago. And so now I thought the handwriting was on the wall last year when Jerry Jones refused to re-up him long term. And Jerry Jones' words were, I support these players, but I hold them accountable. How much longer can I get away without holding the coach accountable? When you look at yesterday, just take into account what transpired. You had you kick a field goal with 6 minutes left in their territory. I mean, excuse me, you go for the touchdown. Kicking a field goal, you still were going to need a touchdown to win the game. You would have needed a touchdown to tie the game in the event that you didn't make anything out of that opportunity. It showed no faith in your offense whatsoever. You didn't give Ezekiel Elliott the ball nearly as much as you should have. It's inclement weather, gusty winds, cold, raining. Tailor-made coach knows this for a running game. I'm sorry, why would that matter? Because if you're Jerry Jones, you recall giving that running back $90 million, $50 million in guaranteed dollars. It's specifically for moments like this. And you refuse to get this man the ball after you had me pay this man this amount of money? Have you lost your ever-loving mind? So that's how I'm thinking about it. We got a guy in Kellen Moore, your first-year offensive coordinator. You target a guy like Amari Cooper. I know Stephon Gilmore was on him, but you literally target him twice. And then, oh, by the way, we've got special teams. They can't get there. I mean, you're like the movie Life with Martin Lawrence and Eddie Murphy and those boys. Can't get right. That was somebody's name. That seems to be the offense for the Dallas Cowboys, was definitely with special teams. A blocked punt, 2 muffed kickoffs in the first half, another in the second half. You just look at all of this. Coming into the game, we knew that the Patriots were not a superior team talent-wise. It was the Dallas Cowboys. But the reason why so many people gave the Patriots the edge is because you knew there was such a huge discrepancy with the coaching. That showed itself last night. I think Jason Garrett's fate is sealed. I think next year the Dallas Cowboys will have a new head coach.
Yeah, and you know things are going bad when Ed Werder is tweeting things like the Cowboys, according to a source, will not make any changes to their coaching staff today, which people were speculating. I think they were mostly looking at the special teams coach. But the question becomes this. The Eagles lost yesterday and looked terrible. They have a variety of injuries. Someone has to win that division. Rex, who's it going to be?
I think it's going to be Philadelphia just because, and it's not because they're great. It's based on their schedule. Like, they don't play hardly anybody. It's
true.
I mean, the winner of this game, the winner of Dallas in
Philadelphia,
that's who's going to win the
16.
division.
What do you think?
I will elaborate extensively on First Take,
yes.
But I'm going to tell you that the Dallas Cowboys, unfortunately, are going to win this division.
Really?
I think that the Eagles stink. I think that they've got problems. Receivers can't catch the ball. Talent that's a little bit old. The offense is the same as it was 2-3 years ago. There's no innovation whatsoever. Carson Wentz has regressed, even though I don't think it's mostly his fault. And the Dallas Cowboys, unfortunately, are going to win this division.
Really?
I think that the Eagles stink. I think that they've got problems. Receivers can't catch the ball. Talent that's a little bit old. The offense is the same as it was 2-3 years ago. There's no innovation whatsoever. Carson Wentz has regressed, even though I don't think it's mostly his fault. And I am here to predict, as I will elaborate on First Take, I am here to predict there will be a coaching change. It will happen soon, meaning this season. Not, I mean, Damian Woody, who picked the Cowboys. God, if we think Marcus Spears is going to eat, we know Damian Woody is going to eat, okay? So what I'm saying is that there's a level of misery that's going to be alleviated with a good Thanksgiving meal. I want the pain to come when they're scheduled to open Christmas presents. So I'm upset that it's a bit early. And then on a personal note, I don't know if everybody knows this, but that boy Jerry Jones, that's my buddy right there. Uh-huh. And I love me some Jerry Jones, and I'm not happy when he's unhappy. So the bottom line is that I, in a roundabout way, as much as I hate Cowboy fans, I love me some Jerry Jones, and I don't like the fact that he's going through this right now.
All right, we are looking forward to hearing all this and more. First Take comes your way 9 minutes from right now here on
Got my
ESPN.
man Rex coming with me, man.
And Rex is coming on.
And
then tonight we got a really good one. Our Week 12 Monday Night Football matchup features the superstar Lamar Jackson leading the Ravens into L.A. to take on Aaron Donald and the Rams. It's 8 Eastern on ESPN, ESPN Deportes, and the ESPN app. Our coverage will begin with Monday Night Countdown at 6.
So essentially, Stephen A. wants Cowboys fans to feel how Ducks fans feel, because in one of the most stunning results of the weekend, Arizona State, the Fighting Herm Edwards, upset number 6 Oregon to all but end the Ducks' college football playoff chances. So the Pac-12's last remaining hope is Utah, which took care of Arizona on Saturday. And we take a look at those odds. Ducks lose over the weekend, and according to our All-State playoff predictor, Alabama now the first team out, but has significantly better odds compared to teams like Oklahoma and Utah. Georgia currently has the 4th best chance to make the playoffs, but of course they've got a date in the SEC championship with LSU. And Dan Orlovsky, we always predicate all these conversations by saying, if Georgia beats LSU, then the top 4 is done, right? Like if everything goes wrong, everything's done. Let's assume that they don't, and then there is that other opportunity. Do you think Oregon losing helped Alabama in any way?
Not really. I mean, because it was going to be either Oregon or Utah that was going to be the one-loss Pac-12 champion, sure, and either one of them was going to get in. Alabama, like if Chalk wins out, if Ohio State wins the Big Ten championship and beats probably either Minnesota or Wisconsin, and then LSU beats Georgia, it's really going to come down to Alabama and Utah, maybe Oklahoma. And if Alabama goes to Auburn with Mac Jones, on the road and wins by 3 scores, and this team looks a little bit different. Maybe they run the ball a little bit more. Their defense plays a little bit better, and they go and beat Alabama by 3 scores, which is more than LSU did, and they score more than 23 points, which would be more than LSU did. It's going to be hard to keep Alabama out.
Why?
It's because of, one, that would be a really good win, and Alabama still, when you look at those offensive skill players and how they could potentially match up in the playoff, are you going to put a 1-loss Utah in who their best win would be really against a 3-loss Oregon team that 2 weeks previously got beat up on national television by a 5-5 Arizona State team? Yeah, so it's like, it's going to be hard.
And I understand, and I don't know if we can pull it up, but there's a lot of comparisons being made to what Alabama a couple of years ago didn't play in the SEC championship. They were a 1-loss team, but these teams are very different, right? Point differential is the same, but back then in 2017, Alabama, as you can see right here, had 3 wins against top 20 ranked teams. They have just 1 such win this year. And of course, back then, they had the benefit of Jalen Hurts under center.
If Chalk wins and Alabama wins by 3 scores, they're getting in.
Okay, and there it is. Final thought. I like it. Final word. Tomorrow at 7 Eastern on ESPN and the ESPN app, we do have that exclusive reveal of the next college football playoff top 25 rankings, because there's a lot of intrigue as to whether Ohio State, after what they did over the weekend, should be number 1. So we'll have all the guys here. We'll have reactions and everything for you right here on ESPN. Per usual, it's also streaming on the ESPN app. Coming up, First Take is next with Stephen A. and Max. They will debate what Jason Garrett needs to do to save his job, although I think Stephen A. said it's as good as done. Plus, has Tom Brady fallen from the elite quarterback ranks? I can't wait to see if Max is finally taking that victory lap that's a few years in the making. ESPN in about 5 minutes right here. First Take coming.
One for you and one for me.
I love it.
Oh, actually, that was supposed to be
I love
for
it.
me. I like red.
Step up to GMC and get 20% below MSRP on this next-generation Sierra Crew Cab SLE.
Get new deals all day during Amazon's Black Friday sale. Low prices and free shipping on millions of items. The fun starts November 28th.
When your energy is spent, but there's so much more you want to do. New Starbucks Triple Shot Energy. 225 milligrams of caffeine for the energy to do what matters to you. What gives you energy?
I'm a Verizon engineer, and I'm part of the team building the most powerful 5G experience for America.
It's 5G ultra wideband
with massive capacity
and ultra fast speeds.
Almost 2 gigs here in Minneapolis.
That's 25 times faster than today's network in New York City.
So people from Midtown Manhattan to downtown Denver
can experience what our 5G can deliver.
And if Verizon 5G can deliver performance like this in these places,
it's pretty crazy.
Just imagine what it can do for you.
Rated E to M.
What are we playing? The Outer Worlds.
Oh, shrink 'em. Smaller. Shrink rag.
Whatever you're into, discover your next favorite game with Xbox Game Pass.
Join now and get your first 3 months for $1.
I am an Instagram boyfriend, but now that rolled chicken tacos are back at Taco Bell,
Sunset hard hands.
my hands are tied. Let's just enjoy this moment.
Take the picture.
Rolled chicken tacos are back with your choice of dips, only at Taco Bell.
This season, the Home Depot has a few new presents for you, like image search. Snap a picture, find what you're looking for, and a product locator, so you know exactly where to go for the perfect gift. Get online reviews to make the best choices on the things you'll love, and free delivery on over 1 million online items. This Christmas, it's even easier to bring home the magic with the Home Depot. More saving, more doing.
Geico makes it easy to get help when I need it. With licensed agents available 24/7, it's not just easy. It's having Jerome Bettis on your flag football team easy. Go get him, Bus!
Ooh. Come on, Bus. Come on. Hey, wait. I'm glad I got the flag. I got your flag. I'm glad I got your flag.
It's Geico Easy, with licensed agents available 24/7.
49-0.
By 1901, Major Taylor was considered the greatest athlete in the world.
but he was still searching for something else. A true rival. Hennessy, never stop, never settle.
Dove Men Plus Care Sport Care. For the pregame. For the ball game. For the postgame. Dove Men Plus Care Sport Care. Designed for every position you play.
What a feast. Spiced ham, carb turkey, prime rib on the weekends. At a price that lets me treat the whole family. Doesn't get more festive than that. Or does it?
Prime rib weekends at Golden Corral. The only one for everyone.
Let me introduce me. Here I come. Yeah. Here I go.
Get 25% off Wicked Good Slippers. Ends Tuesday.
Are you ready for a mid-season reality check? Are you ready for showtime, crunch time, and running out of time? The second half of the NFL season starts now. Are you ready?
Get Up is brought to you by Taco Bell's rolled chicken tacos party packs.
I love tacos.
Don't miss another special 4 p.m. edition of SportsCenter today. Hannah and Keith, they'll set the stage for Lamar Jackson in L.A. The Mort Report details the state of the Steelers quarterback situation and tracking the Tide's make-or-break week leading up to the Iron Bowl. All that and a whole lot more. And as we finish up here today, you can see all the footballs that are gathered here. These are the balls the XFL is going to be using when the league launches. The first game is Saturday, February 8th, so the weekend after the Super Bowl.
It'll be a really exciting league. I mean, it's important to the NFL. There's going to be a lot of young kids that don't get the opportunity to learn and grow and develop in the springtime. They'll take advantage of it. There's some good names in it. Bob Stoops tied to it, so be a good opportunity for some young kids.
Both of you have been quite impressed with my ability to sling this. I've been spinning it a little bit.
You spin it a little bit.
No, stay here because I want to ask you. Okay, well, we can do that if you want to.
Oh, there it is.
Good throw.
Ravens a 3-point favorite at the Rams tonight. Who we like?
I'm going to go Ravens.
I'm going to go the Ravens as well. Lamar Jackson, until someone stops him.
Rams at home? Is it just?
Where's the money line?
I don't trust that offense, Greeny.
I'm going Rams. We'll see you tomorrow. First Take starts now.
What are you doing? Oh, that's what you're.
Intercepted by Ivan Gilmore.
Travis Frederick called for tripping.
Now a 4th and 11 for Dallas.
Ball hit the ground. It's incomplete.
It is a significant setback for our team. We needed this win. We needed to win against an opponent like this. We haven't had them, but this is very frustrating. It's frustrating to do it, to just be reminded that some of the fundamentals of football and coaching were what beat us out there today.
Excuse me, did Jerry Jones just call out the coach? That actually happened, and we have our coach here to break it down. Rex Ryan in the building. Good to see you.
Yeah, good seeing you.
Max Kellerman, Stephen A. Smith, Molly Karen Rose. How was everybody's weekend?
Molly, sir. Coach, you get one too. All right, good deal. Let's do it.
Stephen A., I don't know if you saw it, but all eyes were on Gillette Stadium Sunday when America's team came to town. New England survived an ugly one in inclement weather to improve to 10-1 at the expense of the Cowboys, who fell to 6-5 on the season. Stephen A., all that talent on paper. Please tell me, what is the biggest problem with this Cowboys team?
The biggest problem with it is what Jerry Jones alluded to a bit directly, to be quite honest with you, and what we should all reach to the conclusion of. Jerry Jones should fire Jason Garrett today, not after the season. You fire him today, you take Chris Richard, and you elevate him to the head coaching rank, at least on an interim basis. Obviously, with him and Marinelli, they've been handling their defense. There have been ups and downs. There have been ups and downs. It's been a little roller coaster ride. But for the most part, the Dallas Cowboys defense have answered the call. As far as I'm concerned, they answered the call last night. They did their job. Special teams was an absolute disaster. You got to look at Quinn. Quinn, I believe his name is, your special teams guy. You got to look at him. 2 muff kickoffs, one in the second half, a blocked punt. You got to take those things into consideration. But we have to zero in on Jason Garrett, even more so than Kellen Moore. I don't want to hear that Kellen Moore is calling the plays and you're some innocent bystander as the head coach. You're Jerry Jones, resident an adopted son, for crying out loud. When you look at what transpired yesterday, it was simply inexcusable. There is no way around this. You have a situation where you've got a 3rd and 11 with about 6 minutes left. It's an incomplete pass on the back of the end zone with Dak Prescott targeting Jarwin. What do? You're at the 11-yard line. Excuse me, you go for that. Why? Because your offense has been struggling all day. You're right there at the 11-yard line. The notion that, okay, let's kick a field goal, all right? And then as a result, I got faith in my defense because I still got 3 timeouts left. That's not good enough because it still puts you down 4, and you still were going to need a touchdown anyway. So it was just a matter of whether you needed a touchdown to win or a touchdown to tie. Now, if a field goal would win it for you, then that would be different because you kicked the field goal and then obviously you'd be down 2 or 1 or whatever. No, you were still down 4 after kicking the field goal, so you were going to need the touchdown. You showed no faith, no guts whatsoever in your offense. And oh, by the way, while you had no guts in your offense, why would that be? Inclement weather, wind, gusty, cold, raining. Tailor-made for a running game. I'm sorry, who's your running back? The dude that you gave $90 million to, $50 million in guaranteed
and drafted
dollars.
4th.
That's right, drafted 4th. Oh, by the way, averaged 4 yards a carry yesterday. It wasn't like he was anemic. It wasn't like he was ineffective. No, you had the linebackers for the Patriots, along with their safeties, doing a great job of neutralizing guys coming out of the backfield in terms of catching passes. But you showed the ability to run the football in them. You didn't do it. And then last but not least, Amari Cooper. We know that Ezekiel got his money. We know that Dak Prescott wants his money. But we also forget that Amari Cooper's playing for a new contract as well. He's your number 1 receiver. You target him 1 time in the entire
Stephen
first
A.
half.
Stephon Gilmore had more catches than Amari Cooper. That says it all, okay?
Yeah, it also says Stephon Gilmore. Pretty good.
We could say, we all know that Stephon, we've had him on the show. Yeah. We all know what a baller Gilmore is. The interesting part, however, is that, again, you don't know how elite somebody is unless you target them. You have to go after them to some degree to have Amari Cooper and to not even target him. Either you were afraid or the inclement weather was such an adversary for you. That's more of an excuse to have the running game. The fact that Jerry Jones has these conversations, has these feelings right now, the die has been cast. We know that Jason Garrett is done. So my interest, Max, in getting rid of him is simply this. You know you're the most talented team. You look at the Eagles, you see their struggles. Don't get me started with the Giants and the Redskins. You know that you are the most talented team and should be going to the playoffs. The question is, what are you going to do the rest of the season? They have no faith in Jason Garrett. There's no belief in him. You know why Jason Garrett is still a head coach in the National Football League? Because he's a nice guy.
No.
And
I think there's more to it than that,
I
Stephen.
should have been a nice guy.
That's right.
I think there's more to it than him being a nice guy. By the way, I don't think Garrett has the guts to be a great head coach. And I know what that sounds like. Sounds ad hominem. Derek Carr got mad at me because I said last year, I thought early in the season, I stopped watching them late. I thought he quit on the team. I'm going to say what I feel. I'm not saying how I would react in that situation. Maybe I'd have quit on the team. Maybe I wouldn't have the guts to be a great coach in that same situation. I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about them. Mm-hmm. I thought Derek Carr quit early in the season last year, and I don't think Garrett has the guts to be a great head coach. Maybe a good one, not a great one. You just pointed out why. That's the typical play. I remember last year it was 4th and 1, like midfield. You have Ezekiel Elliott, and he punted. That's enough. I'm done. The issue with the Cowboys is, in fact, not the coach. The issue with the Cowboys is Jerry Jones, because the owner sacrificed a full season of a Super Bowl talented roster on the altar of his own ego. Remember what I said when, look, they got Amari Cooper. They have the best offensive line in the game. They got a talented defense. They got a number 1 wideout who says all the right things, does all the right things, plays the right way, runs great routes, the whole thing athletic. They got a number 1 running back. They got like an elite run. They have every single thing you need. They even got Witten out of retirement to be a locker room guy. They have every single thing you need. And what I said was, at the time, what Jerry Jones is doing, because he hasn't signed his coach or his quarterback, he's isolating the variables. Is it the coach? Or is it the quarterback? Guys, we all knew they're going to keep the quarterback. If you have a quarterback who's even average or above, you're going to keep the quarterback. We all knew what was going to happen here. If Jason Garrett was going to do something, he'd have done it already. He's not the first talented roster he's ever had. But Jerry Jones, and this starts way back with Jimmy Johnson, Coach, when Barry Switzer won a Super Bowl with Jimmy Johnson's roster, and then then never again. Bill Parcells didn't last long. He may have been getting older, but he still didn't last long. Jerry Jones needs the credit. Yeah. So he installs coaches who are essentially yes men or at least mild-mannered so that if any in success, they don't get the credit. Maybe he's getting over that. Maybe now he will hire the right guy.
Clearly, he's late to the party, but he's arrived at the party at this point with the rest of us.
He's getting much older. How much longer is in front of him? He wants to win another Super Bowl, and he just sacrificed a Super Bowl roster on the altar of his own ego. Coach, I say Jerry Jones is the problem.
Okay, I totally disagree. I think Jerry Jones is the Dallas Cowboys. He built the #1 franchise in sports. All right? And yes, does he have an ego? Yeah, you're right. But you're the owner. I'm going to give it to you. The problem with the Dallas Cowboys, you guys are both right. They have the talent. They have all this type of stuff. So what's missing? It's the mentality that's missing. They don't have it. They should have been in attack mode from jump. If you go into New England and you're tiptoeing at all, which you were, that's why you punt. That's why you went for the field goal on 4th and 7. I'm sorry. No way in heck you do that. You go for the win. You go, hey, I'm going to stick this thing in the end zone. But their mentality is not like that. You talk about we've got 21 carries for the best running back in football, and you're going to run it in those conditions 21 times. Why? Because your team's soft. You need to be physical. This team is built to be physical in a smash-mouth football team. Instead, they're finesse. Jason Garrett, bye-bye. Okay, 2 years ago, I said he should be fired, and you're like, they're not going to fire him yet. And I was like, why would you say that? You were right. I was wrong, but he should have been fired. And I look at it right now, Chris Richard, that would be a great move. Why? Because you're not giving up on the season yet. And to me, you still got part of the season. You may very well win your division. And if you do change the mentality, the attitude of your football team, you may go a long way. But if you don't, you're not going anywhere.
I haven't communicated with our researcher this morning, Max, so forgive me if I'm wrong about this, but I think I'm correct in stating that of the 11 games that the Dallas Cowboys have played, 8 they've trailed in. And it's one of those situations where think about how they come out. Usually, they are very, very adroit at making the necessary adjustments and making a game competitive, if not coming back and winning. So a lot of times they find themselves in a hole. It's like throughout the week, you didn't prepare significantly enough to come out swinging and putting someone else on their heels. You have been on your heels. That's point number 1. Point number 2, let's think about this for a second here. We talk about Jerry Jones. I'm going to come to the defense of Jerry Jones. The fact of the matter is that, do I like the fact that Jason Garrett has been here this long? Hell no. But I applaud how he came into the season. Last year in the offseason, what did Jerry Jones say? I am not going to give this man a contract extension. I'm going to give my guy one last chance. He is my guy, but I'm going to give him one last chance. So what do? You sign a running back. You got the quarterback that you want. You got the receiver that you want. You've had a defense that you want. We anticipated that you're going to be better. You go against Minnesota. You go against New Orleans. You go yesterday against the Patriots. I forgot the other, Green Bay. I'm sorry. You're 0-4 against probable playoff teams. You have a loss to the sorry New York Jets. Not the New York Jets we've seen over the last 3 weeks. The sorry version of the New York Jets. And got spanked while doing so, although you didn't have Amari Cooper really for that game. Yeah. The point that I'm trying to make to you is that you look at certain things, and when we talk about Jerry Jones, you look from a macro perspective, historically, what the Cowboys could have done better over the last decade plus. I'm with you. This season, hell no. There are most coaches who are mediocre. There are coaches who are average that would have done a better job with this team than Jason Garrett has done thus far. He has got to go. And I know my buddy Jerry Jones is watching me right now. He's got to go now. I understand it's Thanksgiving. I'm not wishing anybody other than Dallas Cowboy fans a miserable Thanksgiving, even though I would prefer that their Christmases are miserable as opposed.
Stephen A. is going to show up at Garrett's house and knock the turkey off the table.
Who would you like them to hire?
Chris Richard, like I said, food will alleviate their concerns on Thanksgiving Day. When they open the Christmas presents, no, that's what I wish for Dallas Cowboy fans, that you're miserable on Christmas instead of Thanksgiving. But Jerry Jones needs to fire Jason Garrett right now.
Got it.
Put Chris Richard up in there.
I thought you were saying that for the short term, just for this season. I mean the future.
What to me, Lincoln Riley would be the guy. Sean Payton would be those two would come before
letting
anybody.
Jerry Jones off the hook. Since 2000, we already had the book on Jason Garrett. We didn't need this season to learn anymore. This was the season to to go all in to win a Super Bowl. That's why you gave Ezekiel Elliott the money. That's why you signed defensive players to big contracts. You were all in to win a Super Bowl. And what you're really trying to find out, what you should be, is about your quarterback. And you weren't going to do it with Jason Garrett. They have not beaten a good team.
Yeah, but
they don't beat good teams.
But that's what I'm saying.
They only beat bad teams.
But that's why I'm clapping back at you, and I respectfully disagree, Max. Only because of this. Macro, Jerry Jones, I get that. What I'm saying, micro, we expected the Dallas Cowboys potentially to come up short come postseason. We didn't expect 11 games in for them to be 6-5, slightly above average with the losses that they've lost and not beating one single playoff caliber team. Nobody expected that with this roster. Not that.
Hey, I'm going to say this. They play on Thursday.
Yep.
And you're going to make the coaching move today?
I don't give a damn.
But that's what I mean. Like that's why it's like, all right, here we go. But I'm going to say this. Back when they were winning those Super Bowls, the difference I see, and I talked about the mentality, back in the day when you had Eric Williams and you had Nate Newton and you had Stepnoski and all those guys, man, when they went by you, running down the field, you're like, woo-hoo. Like, Larry Allen and company, they got the same thing. They got the version of it right now. Yeah. Yet they don't do it. They run zone schemes. Are you kidding me? Knock somebody off the football.
Jimmy Johnson.
God, yeah, Jimmy Johnson.
Jimmy Johnson is their head
had
coach.
the mentality.
Right. Cowboys are winless against winning teams. They've trailed in 9 of 11 games. Coach, great to have you with us. I guess you got to go catch a flight. So we got to say bye to you. All right, we'll talk to you next week. We've got a lot more to come here on First Take. Did the 49ers expose that bad man in the Packers last night? Plus, after suffering a home loss to the Seahawks, is it time to admit that Carson's best days already came and went? And the Saints were pushed to the limit at home yesterday, so are the fellas now worried about Breeze and the boys from New Orleans? We'll debate it.
Rated E to M.
What are we playing?
The Outer Worlds.
Oh, shrink 'em. Smaller. Shrink ray.
Whatever you're into, discover your next favorite game with Xbox Game Pass.
Join now and get your first 3 months for $1.
Set my goals like a goal, hit the switch. Work, check
Do it big.
List.
Bigger. Hit it. Because there are those who don't and those who do. Let's do.
Something you should know about bull riding. The bull always wins. Because there's no real reason to put yourself on the back of a bull. And that just might be the best reason to do it. Wrangler.
I'm a Verizon engineer, and I'm part of the team building the most powerful 5G experience for America.
It's 5G ultra wideband.
With massive capacity.
And ultra fast speeds.
Almost 2 gigs here in Minneapolis.
That's 25 times faster than today's network in New York City.
So people from Midtown Manhattan to downtown Denver
can experience what our 5G can deliver.
And if Verizon 5G can deliver performance like this in these places,
it's pretty crazy.
Just imagine what it can do for you.
Introducing Wendy's 2 for $5. The only 2 for $5 with Wendy's fresh, never frozen beef and the spicy chicken you crave. Choose from the Dave's Single Spicy Chicken Sandwich, 10-piece crispy, or spicy nuggets. Pick any 2 for $5. Only at Wendy's.
At Bayer, we create medicine to help relieve allergy symptoms. So allergies don't get in the way of a good time. At Bayer, this is why we science.
By 1901, Major Taylor was considered the greatest athlete in the world. But he was still searching for something else. A true rival. Hennessy. Never stop, never settle.
Curiosity. It ignites our imagination in search of inspiration and daring new ideas. At Lexus, our greatest curiosity isn't a machine. It's you. Experience the rewards of our curiosity.
Randman writes, if you like boneless wings, you dirty. Not anymore. B-Dubs completely reinvented their boneless wings. Now they're marinated and packed with so much meat, it doesn't make sense. Get here for the new boneless wings. Buffalo Wild Wings. Roar!
Wipers? Why don't you get a new car? I can't. My credit's bad.
Well, Credit Karma showed me how to improve my credit. Took 2 minutes.
Really? Blinker?
Download the free Credit Karma app now.
Little lungs in a great big world.
The story of a pair of lungs that smoked as a teen and never grew to normal size.
Hey, little lungs. Want to snowboard with us?
Sounds great. Count me in. Woohoo! I'm ready.
Yeah! Speed up!
My little lungs can't get enough air.
Smoking as a teen can stunt your lungs, keeping them little forever.
Aw, poor little lungs.
In a great big world.
Are you ready for an electrifying Monday night?
Everything litty, I love when it's hot.
The spin cycle is ready.
I created history, it made me alive.
The West Coast is ready. Are you ready?
Ooh, this is a big one for both teams. Our Week 12 Monday Night Football matchup has the electrifying Lamar Action Jackson leading the Ravens into L.A. It's all good to take on Aaron Donald and the Rams, 8 Eastern on ESPN, ESPN Deportes, and the app. Our coverage begins with Monday Night Countdown at 6.
The entire nation watching on Sunday Night Football. Aaron Rodgers hit and sacked. Ball came out late. The handoff to Coleman. He still got in.
Well, that wasn't much fun.
49ers defense is dominating this game yet again. Catch by Deebo Samuel.
Touchdown.
Wide open George Kittle.
The Niners have broken it open.
We didn't play very physical tonight, I think, as a whole, and we obviously didn't execute. But I feel good about the energy pregame and the approach. I think we had a good week of practice, which is why it's so surprising in performance. But got to give them credit. You know, they played really well. But I still like our chances. I think we have the makeup to bounce back from these kind of things and put ourselves in a position to potentially come back here and play again.
Aaron keeping hope alive. That bad man and his team just kind of bad last night. Meanwhile, Jimmy Garoppolo and the Niners embarrassed the Packers on Sunday Night Football 37-8. Green Bay is 8-3, though. Our quarterback, Dan Orlovsky, in the house. Good to see you.
Good morning. Let's disagree.
Stephen A., did the Packers show they're not ready for primetime?
Yes, they did. Yes, they did. And listen, obviously, I'm not talking about that bad man, Aaron Rodgers, who was bad in an entirely different way last night. We understand that. But I think we need to pay attention to what transpired. They got their butts kicked. Plain and simple. They got beat up. And Max, to use a boxing analogy, I often like people, and just go to YouTube and look up a fight years ago that Max will start smiling the minute I bring it up. When Felix Trinidad went for the middleweight crown against William Joppy.
You love that fight.
I mean, what I'm saying is, Dan, because the reason I bring that up is because Madison Square Garden was packed and the Latinos were everywhere and everything was hype. But Felix was moving up in weight against a middleweight. And when I tell you he destroyed William Joppy, I mean, it's been many, many years ago. And it would still be difficult for Joppy to walk the streets with anybody who knows who he is.
Joppy was a good fighter. You got to ease up on
He was a damn good fighter. He was a damn good fighter, but he got his butt whipped. I'm talking about walk through him and beat him. He didn't get caught with a punch. He got beat up. That's what happened to the Green Bay Packers last night. Now, Bulaga goes down, okay, and we understand that. And once that guy goes down, that compromises your protection. And you're looking at Alex Light, and then you're talking about that front four for San Francisco that get with Bosa and the crew. That they get at you. And what makes their defense so elite is that they don't have to blitz to pressure the quarterback.
Correct.
They don't need to blitz you to get to you. So when I see that Aaron Rodgers only threw for 109 yards, when I see that he didn't complete a pass for more than 10 yards, when I saw the absence of protection, certainly him fumbling on the opening drive, had that things just nosedive from there. We get all of that. And the bottom line is your star running back for San Francisco, Breida, he wasn't available. He didn't play the game, and still, it didn't matter. Jimmy Garoppolo with his intermediate passes and what have you, he was solid. We get all of that. But this defense is where it's at. We could call it whatever it is. You could do that. I'll leave San Francisco to you. What I'm saying is this. Here's where I lose faith in Green Bay. You got punked on national television. And oh, by the way, Do I need to call the cops in Wisconsin somewhere and put an APB out for Jimmy Graham? What the hell has happened to him? I mean, this guy was supposed to be an elite. We understand he's not as elite as he used to be, but he wasn't supposed to be that bad. 1 catch for 7 yards, especially when you know Devontae Adams is really your only reliable receiver. Talk about Aaron Rodgers needing help. You got cats on the outside that can defend, cats outside the numbers. You've got to have a tight end to rely upon. What did San Francisco do? While Jimmy Graham was a complete no-show, clearly having disappeared, all right, from the spotlight in terms of his skill set, this kid Kittles might be the best tight end in football. It's between him and Travis Kelce. And one would argue it's him. This brother was gone for a couple of games. He's back. He was
Although some
special.
of those play designs, he was wide open.
I agree with that, but he's special. He's just a special talent. So I look at it from that perspective, and it's just my thinking. In the game of football, when you get pumped, when you get beat up, that's a problem for me. When we're talking about you being elite, we look at New Orleans. We can see them lose a game. We can see games that could be a little bit tougher. But you know they're a physical team, and what you're not going to do is steamroll over them without them having an answer. Green Bay got rolled, and that is where I lost faith in them.
Do you remember? I'll give you another,
I think they're soft.
I'll give you another analogy.
I think they're soft.
Remember before in Rocky 3, before Apollo and Rocky had the little sparring session at the end that no one got to see? Remember, in the movie ended, they fought to see. Remember what Apollo told Rocky? He said, I've taught you everything you know, but I haven't taught you everything I know. That's like kind of what Shanahan told LaFleur yesterday. Right? It's like I
actually like that reference.
Yeah, I mean, come on. He's a protege of Shanahan's, and what you saw was the difference.
With Papa Shanahan in the booth up there, that does hurt.
Right.
See what I'm saying? I mean, it ain't just Kyle. It's Papa Shanahan. I'm just saying.
But the point is, Shanahan is a seasoned, at this point, head coach who was a great offensive coordinator. Now he has a great team, and LaFleur is still finding his way. That and the way it manifested itself yesterday, you brought it up. It was just line play. Both sides of the ball, the Niners were nasty. You know, and Balaga, I always say Beluga, I always mispronounce his name, Balaga, but he can't stay on the field. You know, that's been the issue with him. They probably don't keep him after this year. But he's good when he's on the field, and those tackles for Green Bay are very good when they're on the field. But the line was completely dominated by a ferocious San Francisco line. You mentioned it, they don't have to blitz to get pressure. And vice versa, on the other side of the ball, the San Francisco line did a great job. I know Garoppolo was sacked, but he wasn't pressured. Like, he had time to do what he had to do. Games like this are going to happen. Now, based on what I saw, do I think Green Bay is ready for prime time if these teams rematch? No. The styles make fights, and this is a bad matchup for Green Bay. But if someone can play traffic cop with San Francisco, do I think Green Bay can make it to the Super Bowl? You look at the NFC, you don't see, I love the Saints top to bottom, but could I see Green Bay beating New Orleans in a playoff game? Yeah, I could. I could see them
in New Orleans?
Yeah, even in New Orleans, yeah, I could see it. I could see Green Bay beating on any given Sunday type thing. You know, you get a bye and then you win a home game and then you're in the NFC Championship game. I could see it, but someone must play traffic cop with San Francisco. That is a bad match.
I feel like the question today isn't, are the Packers ready for primetime? It's, are the Niners ready for the Super Bowl? Is Jimmy Garoppolo the real deal?
Yes. Yes and yes. That's why the question is about the 49ers. It's not about Green Bay. Green Bay's got good wins this year. Minnesota, Philly, Dallas, Oakland, Kansas City, Carolina. They've got good wins. But being ready for primetime and being ready for San Francisco is a different animal right now. San Francisco's averaging a win by 3 scores. They've got 10 wins. They average them by 3 scores. They've outgained their opponents by 1,500 yards. A month ago, I was asked the same question about Jimmy G, and I said no. And then I watched the game last week when he doesn't play well, but he got the ball at the end of the football game. And it doesn't matter what happened before that anymore. You have to figure out a way in that moment to win the game. And he did last week. And he's playing really good. That's the best top 2 run game in the NFL. If you aren't good on first down against San Francisco, you're dead. The game is over. And that's what happened with Green Bay yesterday. If you're not really good on first down, 1st and 5, you better get 5 yards. If you're in 2nd and 7, punt. You're not getting the ball back. So, yeah, San Francisco's real. They can run the football. They can throw the football. They can stop the run. They can stop the pass. They can get after the quarterback. They got a head coach who's seasoned. Don't forget, Kyle Shanahan was in a Super Bowl 3 years ago. Like, we don't talk about that enough. Their head coach was in the Super Bowl.
What do you think about
3 years ago? So do I think Jimmy G's?
I'll deal with you with that in a second.
I got something for you, too, because is Jimmy G good enough solo? No.
Are we doing Jimmy G now?
No.
Because I have a question, though, because you made a comment that I
We're going to be talking Jimmy G later
with.
in the show.
Do you think that the Patriots are elite?
I think their defense is elite.
Do you think the Patriots are elite?
I think they're elite, yes, because
then you can't say that you don't, because you said you're not elite if you got beat up. The Baltimore Ravens beat the Patriots down. They beat them up, yet they're still elite. So the Packers can still get beat up by a team and still be an elite football team.
Can I respond to that? First of all, we respectfully disagree, because the manner in which New England got beat up by Baltimore, to me, was a little bit different than what I saw. Because I just think it's almost the equivalent. Again, I'm not going to use a boxing analogy, but there are levels to beatdowns. Okay. And what I'm saying to you, in my opinion, I believe the beatdown incurred by the Green Bay Packers last night at the hands of the San Francisco 49ers was significant to the beatdown the Patriots have received against Baltimore. Understand where I'm coming from with this. I'm not, first of all, when I call the Packers soft, I'm not talking about their defense. I'm talking about their offense. I think their offense is soft. What I'm talking about with the New England Patriots, they're a team that's bereft of talent. There is no Gronkowski. There's just Edelman. You've got wideouts that can't get open. It's not a matter of softness with the New England Patriots. It's a matter of that guys not being able to get open with an immobile 42-year-old quarterback that's a system quarterback who throws a lot of timing passes with guys whose timing's off, they can't get open, et cetera, et cetera. Going up against a coach like John Harbaugh, okay, I think that ultimately spells doom for you, particularly when you have a Lamar Jackson. In the case of San Francisco, when I looked at San Francisco, I saw a front four, not to say that they didn't blitz from time to time because they did. Sure. But I saw a front four that basically wiped Green Bay out. And I saw receivers incapable of getting open. And I saw a tight end in Jimmy Graham that I think we need to look at and say, what has happened to you?
Jimmy Graham ain't done anything in 3 years.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And a coach who was not able to make adjustments. And that's why when you say there are levels to this, I think that was the real difference. LaFleur couldn't adjust. I'll give you another movie analogy, what you two are really arguing about. Remember the Titans. The title of the movie was always make sure that whether you win or lose, they always remember the day in other words, you got to leave a part of yourself with your opponent because they know you showed up and competed, right? And I understand what you guys are saying. If you're not even competing, what we see, and I bring it up with coaches like Harbaugh or whoever, they always compete. Tomlin's teams, year in and year out, they compete. But even those kind of teams can have styles matchups where they get the break speed off. That's what happened with Belichick against the Ravens. It was a bad matchup. I thought he was trying different things. They got beaten up. Same thing with the Niners with Green Bay. Bad styles matchup. It doesn't speak to the fact, Stephen, and I think that the nature of the team isn't competitive. It's just a bad styles matchup, which is why if they avoid the Niners, I still see an Aaron Rodgers with a good enough defense, not always great against the run, good enough to get it done.
Before Dan comes, I only want to say this. The only reason why I say that is that it's a difference between somebody. In other words, when you get exposed as being so, if somebody is menacing and they take you out, you walk in there petrified. When you see them get blitzed, when you see them get punked, all of a sudden it elevates the level of confidence a future opponent will have coming your way because there's vulnerabilities they have noticed. What I am accusing the Packers of is being exposed to a point where other teams say, okay, we can do this.
No, because the other teams don't have the personnel that San Francisco does.
I understand that.
I said it, San Francisco is dragging everyone. The only loss they have is to Seattle, and that was 5 turnovers offensively.
Best team in the NFC?
Yeah.
NFL.
Best team in the NFC.
NFL.
I'm taking New England still. I'm taking a team that is historically good on defense right now. I'll take New England. They're the best team in the NFC because the Saints.
Only they have the quarterback that Belichick wanted.
And New England has the quarterback that's been proven.
Why are they the best in the NFC? Because there's a lot of good teams.
Their defensive line is dominant. Their offensive line is really good. Their run game is the best schematically in the NFL. They get chunk plays open, and that's really hard to do unless you have a freakazoid, and their secondary is very smart. The ball has to come out against them. You, as a quarterback, you can't watch the tape last night. The ball has to come out. So those guys just sit and watch the quarterback, and they go, I don't have to wait that long. Mm-hmm. So you could see where the ball's coming from. All those first-round picks that they had when they stunk, they've hit. Armstead hit. Bosa hit. Thomas hit. Armstead hit. Buckner hit.
They were hitting last night, that's
for
sure.
So with the Saints' injuries, and the Saints have a penalty problem right now, I would take San Francisco as the best team in the NFC. I still think Green Bay's very good, though.
NFL.
All I'm saying is you are right that teams don't have the personnel that San Francisco has. But if you show that you can be punked, which is what I saw last night, and you combine that with making Jimmy Graham beat you,
sure.
Okay?
Yeah.
Excuse me, that's a formula for success right now for the opposition. I think that was exposed last night.
All I'm saying is Niners-Ravens Sunday. I cannot wait
That's
for
a Super Bowl preview.
That is going to be incredible. No, you had the Patriots.
I have the Patriots still.
Yeah. Okay.
See, if you say enough things, you're going to be right eventually.
Exactly. Much more to come here on First Take. Does Carson Wentz deserve most of the blame for the struggles in Philly? Plus, the Saints have been the class of the NFC this season, so who's worried about Breeze and the boys after a nail-biting win? We'll debate it.
What are you up to over there?
I got you a little something.
Shut up. Oh, how did you know?
It's great, right?
You're the best.
You'll feel like an MVP with a gift from Hellsberg Diamonds. And right now, get a free Xbox One S with Madden 20 and NBA 2K19.
At AutoZone, batteries are kind of our thing. After our free testing, turns out she just needed new cables. This guy, just a fresh charge. And for them, it was time for a change. Welcome to America's #1 battery destination. Getting the job done just got easier.
Now only at Domino's for $7.99 each, you can carry out all 5 crust options with any 3 toppings. Try handmade pan crust when you crave something thick and hearty. Or carry out any of our 5 crusts for just $7.99 every day, only at Domino's.
Accidents will happen when you least expect them. Accidents will happen time and time.
Shopping for my pets used to be so stressful. But with Chewy.com, I can get those big bags of pet food and litter delivered. It makes the holidays that much easier.
Get the gift of fast, free shipping on your pet food and supplies today at Chewy, where pet lovers shop.
In an era of online retail where everything is just a few clicks away, buying a car should be no different. That's why at Carvana, you can buy a car 100% online. We made it easy to browse, view, and buy from over 10,000 cars. You can even trade in your old car, all while binge watching your favorite TV show. Afterwards, we'll deliver your car to you. Or you can pick it up from one of our car vending machines. Either way, your car comes with a 7-day return policy. So grab a seat, relax in your comfy pants, and enjoy the new way to buy a car at Carvana.
Here's some good news. You can control your mortgage, as long as it's a Yorgage, the fixed-rate mortgage exclusively from Quicken Loans that conforms to your needs. With a Yorgage, you control your home loan term, anywhere from 8 to 30 years. That custom term can help you finish paying off your mortgage in a time frame that works best for you. And by taking years off the loan, you'll potentially save thousands of dollars in interest over the life of your mortgage. Right now could be a great time to take some positive financial steps with a cash-out refinance from Quicken Loans. You can use the cash from your home's equity to make some much-needed home improvements or reduce nagging credit card debt. A great way to take cash out is with our most popular loan, a Quicken Loans 30-year fixed-rate mortgage. Here's one more reason you'll want to work with us. We're #1 in the nation according to J.D. Power. To learn more about how you can leverage the value in your home, call us today or go to rocketmortgage.com.
Hi, Dame.
What's up, Linda?
You around for the 2 p.m. production meeting?
My calendar's up to date. Did you check?
Yeah, I checked, but every hour is blocked off as Dame time, so I wasn't sure.
It's always Dame time.
So, are you going to the production meeting?
2 o'clock? Nah, that Dame time happens to be lunchtime today. Sorry.
Oh.
Infinity pool in the back. Your chick wanna fool with a Mac.
Tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern on ESPN and the app, we'll have the exclusive reveal of the next college football playoff top 25 rankings. Reese and the fellas break them down top to bottom. Carson Wentz injured his right hand in the third quarter of the 17-9 loss to the Seahawks, but he didn't miss a snap. He had one TD, but 2 interceptions on the day. X-rays taken during the game came back negative. That, according to Coach Doug Peterson, the Seahawks are looking good, improving to 9-2. Meanwhile, Philly struggling at 5-6.
I have to, be better. I have to lead this team better. I got to protect the football better. We can't put it on the ground the way we did. And it starts with me. And I'm frustrated.
Carson owning it. Dan's still here with us, but Max, I'm coming to you. Is Wentz to blame for Philly's struggles?
Yes, Wentz is to blame. And I've been saying this all year. There are other things. You guys can talk about the other things. He's the quarterback of the team. He got paid. His mechanics, Dan can talk about that much better than I can. His decision-making, his accuracy, everything is regressing. He is not an elite quarterback. He's not even an average quarterback right now. And the worst part about it is it's at a time in his career where he's supposed to be ascending. Remember that whole Wentz versus Dak thing? Guys, I was very comfortable saying, please, I like Dak a lot. He has all the intangibles, but Wentz is a different kind of animal. I couldn't take Wentz over Dak right now. I couldn't do it. And remember, to start the season, my focus with Wentz is, could he be a leader? Because Nick Foles juiced the team. Everyone wanted, special teams, defense, offense, everyone wanted to play for Nick Foles and with Nick Foles. And Wentz, as I was saying, it was coming out of the locker room, right? It's not that he doesn't want to lead. He hasn't figured out how yet. So I was really looking for that. And he's failed in that respect so far this year. But with his ability to make big plays, with his talent, given his age, his relationship with his head coach, etc., like you would expect those things to kind of ascend, and it has been the exact opposite. I don't want to hear about drops and this and that and injuries. You guys say whatever you want. At a certain point, what are you going to do about it? Nothing. They're not good. And Wentz has been the problem. The pocket's about to collapse. Or he thinks the pocket's going to collapse, but it holds, right? He bailed on the play. No, wrong. Or the pocket's collapse and get out of there, and he gets sacked. There's a play down the field. You got to force it down the field a little bit. That's when he dinks and dunks. Or there's nothing down the field. You have to check down. That's when he won't do it. His instincts are completely shot. He's doing everything backwards. Every decision he's making seems to be the wrong one. His accurate, everything's bad, and he's not leading. Guys, I was a huge Dak guy. Dan could talk.
You're a huge Wentz guy?
Excuse me, Wentz guy. Yeah. Now, a Freudian slip. I was a huge Wentz guy.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. You got to say what you see. Yes, it's on Wentz.
Well, you have to say what you see. You just don't have a license to see for everybody else. Even with those Beetlejuice eyes of yours, you don't get to see for the rest of us. You get to see for you. We respect.
See a lot with these eyes.
Well, listen, nobody's refuting what you're saying about Carson Wentz in all fairness to you, because you are absolutely right. He has regressed. He has digressed. It has looked bad. He lost that game for them yesterday. 2 lost fumbles, 2 interceptions, overthrowing, underthrowing. He was absolutely awful. There's no question. And when you juxtapose that to what you saw from Russell Wilson, 3 key plays he needed to make, including the flea flicker for a touchdown, and once he connected with Carson, another time he connected with somebody else. There's no doubt we saw what we saw from Russell Wilson. There's levels to this, and Carson Wentz wasn't on it. But where I give Carson Wentz a break, albeit not necessarily yesterday, is when you look at the Eagles in its totality. You know the person that I think is the culprit in all of this? Howie Roseman. Excuse me. Let's take this into consideration. I am reading, Max Kellerman and Dan, from an article written in March. This is in March in the off season, where people in Philadelphia were lamenting the folks that he was bringing on board. And just to name a few, Jason Peters, 37, Deshaun Jackson, 32, Kelsey, 31, Bram, 30, Sundeo, 31, etc. They were like, you ain't bringing on anybody on board in their mid-20s. You did re-sign Darby. We get all of that. And a couple of other guys. But for the most part, everybody you were bringing in was over 30. Yesterday, what does Carson Wentz have available to him? You're down your leading pass rusher. He's out of the game. But also your top 3 receivers in Deshaun Jackson, in Alshon Jeffrey, in Nelson Aguilar. So when you look at it from that perspective and you think about the plethora of injuries that they've had to sustain this season, you Carson Wentz, and from earlier on in the season, you've had to figure out ways to try to compensate. So if you walk into a game recognizing that you're behind the 8 ball, sometimes you're going to pressurize yourself. You're going to put yourself in a situation where you're saying, damn, this is what I'm devoid of. This is what I have to work around. This is what I'm going to have to do in order to win this game. And you might not be capable of that. So I'm not absolving him. Please don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to sit up here and say
you're making excuses for him.
But
reasons.
But I'm giving reasons, not excuses. These are valid reasons. If I'm a quarterback and I go into a game without my top 3 weapons, and I don't have a running game to begin with, it's like, damn. Come on. And so if you're looking at the Eagles hierarchy, how do you pay a guy $109 million in guaranteed dollars and then forget to give him the assets to make your investment look good? I don't think that makes much sense.
Carson Wentz has to bear the brunt of this criticism and blame.
For today.
Well, for a lot of this season, so certainly the past month.
Okay.
There's no bigger supporter or fan of Carson Wentz than me. I think he's going to win MVP in this league at some point. I think he's that talented of a player. But if I'm going to sit here 6 weeks ago and say, Dak Prescott, when you go on the road against the New York Jets without some of your players, you have to win that football game if you're going to go to Jerry Jones and say, give me $40 million. Carson Wentz has already gotten his money. So the last 2 weeks, that defense has played good enough to beat 2 playoff teams in New England and Seattle. And the quarterback and offense has let them down. And I know that's an improbable ask to do. And I know that's unfair to do. But when much is given, much is expected. And so when they cut that check to him, part of the reason they cut that check is going, you can overcome the moments when we're deprived of our talent. You're good enough. And it wasn't there with Carson. So, yes, the receivers are out. His right tackle, Lane Johnson, was out. The right guard, Brandon Brooks, goes out. I get all that. And you're playing against a good team. But that's when you have to have your moments. Stephen A., you made an outstanding point that when you go into the game as a quarterback and you know that you're without those guys, you have to change the way you play. In that moment, Tom Brady's the greatest ever at it, of changing the way he's playing because of what's around you. What do I need to do on December 24th to win this game without all those people? It's not about being the best player on the field in that moment or taking all the stats. I can't make sure that I have to make sure we don't lose this football game.
That's why.
So
that's why
he's got to bear the criticism right now.
We're going to talk about Tom Brady in a little while, but that's why when I call a guy a game manager, people think that's an insult. Take it how you want. Carson Wentz has to learn how to be a game manager and with his talent, break off the big plays when you need it most. He has done the opposite. He can't manage the game, and when you need him to come up with a big play, he's throwing an interception.
Can I tell you something I think both of y'all are missing? Tom Brady consistently is playing behind the 8 ball. Carson Wentz, it's week to week. In other words, Antonio Brown was there. He only played 1 game.
Right.
Josh Gordon, we knew that he wasn't reliable. At least at one point in time, we wish him nothing but the best in Seattle. The point that I'm trying to make to you, even though Tom Brady is operating bereft of the necessary weapons in order to be an elite offense, we know what he's dealing with. With Carson Wentz, 1 week Alshon Jeffrey is there, the next week he isn't. 1 week Nelson
At
Aguilar is
least,
there,
but
the
Tom
next
Brady
week
has
he's
the
winning.
defense to rely on.
No doubt.
Exactly.
But here's the thing. When you go into that game as a quarterback, you have to know, okay, I don't have anything around me. So what is the main thing that I can't try to win this myself? Be good with the football. Make sure I allow our defense to win this game for us. If without those turnovers,
Your defense did give up over 6 yards a carry. They gave up 174 yards.
Do you think the 4 turnovers is because he's trying to do the most? Because he's trying to win the game.
Absolutely, Molly. Carson Wentz, talent-wise, he's Patrick Mahomes-ish.
Yeah.
Big play, freaky, run around the field,
Well, he's
whatever.
not Mahomes, but he's
I know
anyone
that,
else.
but he's that type of
anyone
player.
He's not
big plays.
adjusting.
He has to become a dink and dunk player right now. They don't have people. They didn't have a single receiver in the football game.
So let me ask you this.
That's been the case all year.
Let me ask you this, because Max, you love Nick Foles, and people used to say, well, they game plan differently for Nick Foles. So is some of that on the coach? Is it on Doug Peterson to call different plays? Because they were successful with Nick with a little more of the dink and dunk.
Well, because Nick is a dink and dunk quarterback. He is catch, release, get it out of his hands. But they don't have people to be a big play offense. So as a play caller, Doug Peterson's like, okay, I don't have people to be a big play offense, but I have a big play offense quarterback. How do I? So he has to call plays to make sure everybody around him is being in an opportunity to be successful. And Carson needs to make this transition because that's what's
for that to work. Your dink and dunk quarterback, your game manager, which Carson had to be, especially early in the season when Deshaun Jackson, okay, he hasn't been healthy, but that guy, then when you dare him to beat you through the air, then when he has to come through. Say whatever you want. Say whatever you want about Nick Foles in that Super Bowl. And we talked about why didn't Belichick play the cornerback?
Malcolm Butler.
Malcolm Butler. And my contention still is he's daring you to beat him Belichick wants you to try to beat him with Nick Foles. And what did Nick Foles do when dared? He did it.
Right, he hit the shots.
So Carson Wentz has to dink and dunk and game manage, and then in crucial situations come through. Instead, he's not managing the game. In crucial situations, he's turning the ball over.
And that's why he has
sacks.
But that's why he has to take blame, yes. But we can't sit here and be oblivious to the fact, first of all, they are the worst ranked receiving corps in the NFL. Before yesterday, I want to say this so people understand. There was not a receiver on their team yesterday that played in that game who has 10 catches in a season.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I don't care if you put...
There's one other point you forgot.
What do you got?
Over the last 4 weeks, the Philadelphia Eagles have gone against the Buffalo Bills.
Good defense.
The Chicago Bears.
Good defense.
The New England Patriots.
Good defense.
And the Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah.
So now they've got Miami, the Giants, the Redskins, Dallas, and the Giants again.
I said it wasn't a must-win.
They will be 8-6.
They could run the table.
They will be 8-6 on December 23rd, or for that December 22nd or December 23rd game, 4:30 kick in Philly. Let's go, and that'll be for the division.
My point to you and Max is the same Carson Wentz we're talking about. I brought up the personnel that he has to work with, combined with the defense he's had to go against.
Right.
Let's not ignore that.
Yes, it compounds. The problems compound. And great quarterbacks, will figure out a way to manage that, overcome it, at least steady the ship through the rocky
play
water.
calling as well.
Yeah, it's a bad situation right now, but
it'll turn around.
Wentz has been bad. By the way, this whole season, Wentz has been bad.
But he will win MVP in this league.
Not the first 3 games.
He will win MVP in this league.
Dan, good times as always. Appreciate the analysis. Good stuff. Still to come, despite a 9-2 record, is there actually cause for concern down in the Big Easy? One of these guys says absolutely yes. What's going on in New Orleans?
We're back with a must-see Tuesday on First Take. Will Aaron Donald and company slow down Lamar Jackson on Monday Night Football? And will the Niners take the top spot on my list of the top teams in the NFL? Also, is Jay-Z becoming the most influential person in all of sports? Dr. Michael Eric Dyson joins that conversation. All that and more tomorrow on First Take.
When your energy is spent, but there's so much more you want to do. New Starbucks Triple Shot Energy. 225 milligrams of caffeine for the energy to do what matters to you. What gives you energy?
When we were looking for a roommate, he wanted someone super quiet.
Yeah, and he wanted someone to help out with chores, so we got Jean-Pierre.
But one thing we could both agree on was getting Geico to help with renter's insurance.
Yeah. Geico did make it easy to switch and save. Oh no, there's a wall there now? That's too bad.
Visit geico.com and see how easy saving on renter's insurance can be.
Get new deals all day during Amazon's Black Friday sale. Low prices and free shipping on millions of items. The fun starts November 28th.
Hey, Pineapple, you know what would be fun?
What?
If we got in that blender.
Is that a dare?
Double dare.
Captain, get in here!
Captain and Pineapple, there's more fun to be had.
You spend days researching bed sheets.
And weeks picking a dog bed.
So why would you settle for just any bank?
Just do what you do with everything else.
Ask the internet.
Ask your friends.
Ask your coworkers.
We're pretty sure they'll send you over to us.
Because we're not just a bank.
We're an ally. Ally, this is Pamela. How can I help you?
May your holidays glow bright and all your dreams take flight. Lease the C300 sedan for just $399 a month at the Mercedes-Benz Winter Event. Hurry in today.
DXL is built as the one-stop shop for big and tall guys, with sizes starting at XL and over 100 brands that fit great and look even better. DXL Big and Tall, built to fit at DXL.com.
By the handful, the fistful, and the cheekful. That's the joy of bottomless steak fries at Red Robin. Basket after basketful.
Red Robin. Yum.
Okay, you ready?
Yes.
Now.
A Peloton?
Give it up for our first time ride.
All right, first ride. I'm a little nervous, but excited. Let's do this. 5 days in a row. You surprised? I am. 6 a.m. Yay.
Rising with the sun.
That was totally worth it.
Let's go race in Boston 50 ride.
She just said my name. A year ago, I didn't realize how much this would change me. Thank you.
This holiday, give the gift of Peloton.
Ding dong, ding dong, ding. Happy holidays. Yeah. It's the most wonderful time of the year. With the kids jingle belling and everyone telling you be of good cheer. It's the most wonderful time of the year.
I've got a big family. So I'm always looking for ways to save. With Chewy.com, I get low prices on all of my pet food and supplies. With all that money saved, I can get a little something extra for everyone on my list.
Save 30% on your first order today at Chewy.
Focus!
Let's face it, this isn't Sling TV. With so many on-demand movies, shows, there's a lot more exciting stuff to watch at home. Let's ditch this kung fu.
Get the #1 live TV streaming service for less at Sling.com.
Forget Black Friday. Come to the NordVPN Cyber Month party, the private online security party. No digital snoopers allowed. Grab the cyber deal at NordVPN and get 3 months free.
We're only getting started today on First Take. I'll school you all on why Tom is no longer terrific. Plus, why Jimmy G doesn't deserve much credit for Niners' success, according to Stephen A. And has Jason Garrett already been fired, but doesn't know it yet? Second hour, First Take, now.
An NFC South battle. If it wasn't for a missed field goal by the Panthers, then a made field goal by the Saints. Drew Brees in New Orleans may not have gotten the win. Even though New Orleans is 9-2, fellas, the team hasn't looked as dominant as early on. Here's their head coach, Sean Payton.
It wasn't our best game, and by far it wasn't their best game, and quite honestly, it wasn't New York's best game, and so it is what it is.
Stephen A., what's up with the Saints team? Are you worried about them?
I'm worried about them for a couple of reasons. Number one, I think them encourage their suspect. They're the 14th ranked defense for leaving in points allowed because they're the 14th ranked defense against the pass. I think that's something that needs to be noted. P.J. Williams gave up over 100 yards receiving, not to mention a couple of touchdowns as well. We can't ignore that. We also can't ignore the fact that when you look at some of the teams that they're going to go against, the San Franciscos, potentially Green Bay, and we've all know how I felt about them based on what I've seen. I'm going to throw a Seattle into the equations, potentially Dallas with their defense. Offensively, they may have some issues, but defensively, I think they'll be there when it really, really counts. You take all those things into consideration, and you are Drew Brees and the New Orleans Saints. It's almost like you have one target, and that one target is Michael Thomas. He's got 104 receptions for 1,242 yards in the season. 84% of the time that he's been targeted, he's connected. He's been connected by with Drew Brees. You know who their next leading receiver is? Their next leading receiver is Alvin Kamara, who's missed a couple of games and only has 421 yards receiving. Think about that discrepancy for a second. 1,242 to 421. That means there's really nobody else that's really seeing the ball. How is that going to work against some of the elite teams? Some of the elite teams in the game, as elite as Michael Thomas is, arguably the best receiver in football. We know how big time he is. He's getting $20 million a year. Nobody's blinked at that because we all know he deserves it. But what else do you have at your disposal? Particularly when you have an elite, great quarterback in Drew Brees, but one who will never be accused of being mobile. So when you have your quarterback as a stationary target who is primarily targeting one dude, who, by the way, you're not capitalizing off of a running game that's just middle of the pack in the National Football League. All those things give me cause to pause, not to mention the fact that the games themselves have been far too interesting, more interesting than they should have been.
All right, look, if the question is, are the Saints unbeatable, the answer is no. But am I worried about them? We have to contextualize this. I'm also not worried about them. Look, their whole left side of their offensive line is not on the field right now. That's going to compromise you. They're getting a lot of penalties called against them. That's going to compromise you. You mentioned the offense in terms of receivers outside of Michael Thomas, who's an MVP candidate, right? Okay, there are kinks in the armor of every team. There's no team you look at and you can't nitpick. But what just happened yesterday? They beat their divisional rival in a close game where they played poorly but came out with a win. How did they really do it? With defensive stands late in the game. You know, like, well, he missed a field goal.
Yeah, he did miss the field goal.
He had to kick a field goal because they didn't score a touchdown because the defense bent but didn't break. Like in the moment of truth, they held. And against your divisional rival, the only one really in it in your division,
Kyle Allen is their quarterback.
Okay, still, you got it done. Like, there are going to be days like that. Divisional game, second place team, you didn't play well. The question is, do you come out with a win or not? They did, and we're going to kill them now. They're so good and so deep that without Drew Brees, they didn't lose a game. Teddy Bridgewater, and you might want to say going forward, could Teddy Bridgewater replace Drew Brees eventually? Maybe. But the point is, they're such a complete team that when you look for things, you say stuff like they're the 14th defense against the pass. It's out of 32 teams. That's pretty good.
Max, it was a little close for comfort, though, as Stephen A. mentioned, with Kyle Allen at the helm.
But
we'd expect that.
It's not like Kyle Allen hasn't done anything.
We'd expect it to be a more decided score, I think,
right.
Normally with the Saints. But one thing that is interesting that I want you to comment on, they are 6-0 this season in games that are decided by a score. We had the opposite of that with Phillip Rivers, right? The Chargers lose all games decided by a score. So they are winning. They are closing games.
They have a great quarterback. They have a great head coach. And by the way, all the penalties against them, when you have a great head coach, you expect that to regress to the mean, particularly when, in the moment of truth, do you think the refs in a close call are going to go against the Saints again in a close game?
They better not.
You would think not. You would think at this point there's some makeup call in the back of their minds.
Honestly.
Stephen A., the Saints are not unbeatable. But if we're looking for a divisional win against a second-place team where the defense held at the end in spite of however many yards of penalties, I think that indicates they're pretty good.
Well, I think you look at teams in a vacuum far too more often than I do. I look at the level of competition that they're going against, and I'm anticipating knowing who they may be facing down the road. And I'm asking myself, what are your strengths? And is that going to be enough to beat those particular teams? I have no problem. Of course, Michael Thomas is a leader. Of course, you should target him. I get all of that. What I have a problem is that when there's such a discrepancy between him and everybody else, and everything about you and your identity says that you're a one-man wrecking crew, that's the person that you target. I'm thinking against the better teams, is that going to work? Now, obviously, you look at a guy like Alvin Kamara and you say to yourself, he's expected to be there. You look at a guy like Michael Thomas, you say he's expected to be there. Then when you look at elite teams and you say, excuse me, if I can find a way to dare Jared Cook to beat me or somebody else, can I pull this off? That answer appears to be yes. And all I'm saying is if you're the New Orleans Saints, particularly how you were unable to get it done last year, even though that bogus pass interference that was never called should have been called and what have you, in the end, I'm looking at them and I'm saying, excuse me, there's a question mark in that regard because their success has never really been about their defense. The defense plays a role. Mm-hmm. We expect them to step up. They're physical. They get after it. We know that. But it almost always comes down to Drew Brees having to save the day. And if that is the case, I need Drew Brees to have somebody else other than Michael Thomas to rely upon.
You know the expression, like, you're judged by the strength of your enemies? I think in this case, like, you can judge the Saints by the kind of, like, nitpickiness of the criticism. A two-loss team who lost their starting quarterback for a huge chunk of the season, who just beat the second-place rival with a defensive stand at the end of the game, sure, and a little luck, in spite of a horrific game in terms of penalties and the whole left side of their offensive line missing. I think it indicates that we're nitpicking the 14th-ranked pass defense. Like, that's a bad thing. That's actually pretty good. The fact that those are the criticisms of this team indicate what an excellent team it is, top to bottom. Imperfect, but I ain't worried about the Saints.
Or maybe how much we don't respect the Panthers, for that matter. We didn't expect them to be 31-31 at the end of the game.
Two-loss team at this time of the year is pretty good.
All right. By the way, Stephen A., you said 104 catches for Michael Thomas.
1,242 yards.
Yeah, through 11 games. That's the most in NFL history. He passed Marvin Harrison on that note. Still to come, Brady and the Pats got a close win over Stephen A.'s Cowboys yesterday. So why is Max about to call out his quarterback, Tommy Brady?
Get excited, football fans, because the NFL season is in full swing.
Can you believe all these storylines from around the league?
Which teams make the best case to take home the Lombardi Trophy?
Who will rise and who will ultimately fall?
We was catching it. Unlike Aguilar.
We have every snap, pass, and run covered for you with the best voices on television.
Big trust. Woo, woo.
So for all the best NFL debate, don't miss First Take every weekday at 10 a.m. Eastern.
Quando il gioco si fa duro e non sai che fare, metti sul più bel sorriso, adesso è tempo di giocare. Sei così bella, bella.
Peroni, Italia. Don't miss Aaron's 7 days of Black Friday. Epic deals on furniture, electronics, and appliances with no credit needed. Plus, this Friday from 6 to 9 a.m., come in store to spin the wheel when you start leasing to own. You might even score no payment until 2020. Black Friday at Aaron's.
I, Amanda Green, at the point in my life when I'm not a kid anymore. Now that I finally have freedom to define who I am, I hereby agree to be bound to you, to let you decide how I spend my money, to let you set my boundaries, and to come running the instant you snap your fingers. With this contract, I relinquish part of my freedom to you.
There's a contract in every cigarette. When you light up, you sign up. Don't let tobacco control you.
Here's some good news. You can control your mortgage, as long as it's a Yorgage, the fixed-rate mortgage exclusively from Quicken Loans that conforms to your needs. With a Yorgage, you control your home loan term, anywhere from 8 to 30 years. That custom term can help you finish paying off your mortgage in a time frame that works best for you. And by taking years off the loan, you'll potentially save thousands of dollars in interest over the life of your mortgage. Right now could be a great time to take some positive financial steps with a cash-out refinance from Quicken Loans. You can use the cash from your home's equity to make some much-needed home improvements or reduce nagging credit card debt. A great way to take cash out is with our most popular loan, a Quicken Loans 30-year fixed-rate mortgage. Here's one more reason you'll want to work with us. We're #1 in the nation according to J.D. Power. To learn more about how you can leverage the value in your home, call us today or go to rocketmortgage.com.
That's the only circumstance to which you would separate.
Can't imagine doing it otherwise.
This is Caitlin Dickerson from the New York Times. This isn't the only case. Very little documentation. But I know that's not true. And the shelters really don't know what to do with them. I just got another person at DHS to confirm this. I have this number. We're going to publish this story.
Diamonds are forever like family.
Fired up for the big feast? How about feasting on this?
Diamonds are forever like my infinite thought.
Watching for this homecoming?
Anthony Davis cleans it up and in.
In for passing the rock? Or the pumpkin pie? Thankful for this? And this?
LeBron James delivering.
Nets Celtics. Lakers Pelicans. Wednesday on ESPN. Ball for all.
It's another special 4 p.m. edition of SportsCenter with Hannah and Keith. They'll set the stage for Lamar Jackson's LA showdown with the Rams. That is tonight on ESPN. Plus, the Mort Report details the state of the Steelers starting quarterback situation and tracking the Tide's make-or-break week leading up to the Iron Bowl.
First career score, N'Keal Harry. Intercepted by diving Gilmore.
Travis Frederick called for tripping.
Now a 4th and 11 for Dallas.
Ball hit the ground. It's incomplete.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to First Take. We're coming to you live from above the Heineken River Deck at Pier 17. With last night's 13-9 win over Dallas, Tom Brady is officially 5-0 against Stephen A's Cowboys in his career. But his individual stats yesterday, yeah, they were lacking. I see you, Max, looking at me. Since week 4, he has had a completion rate, the lowest, 46%, the third lowest completion percentage of his career. On that note, we bring in Ryan Clark, who must be happy after his son, Herm Edwards, the Sun Devils, got that big win over Oregon. How we doing, Ryan?
Doing well. How you guys doing today?
Herm.
Yeah.
I see you, Coach.
I'm very, very happy for Herm Edwards, no doubt about it.
Of course he gets it done in front.
And I'm happy for Ryan, too, because he's my buddy, and he's had a good month. First good month he's had in a long time, but he's had a good month with LSU.
All happening on the college level.
Yeah. Hey, I'll take it.
I'm not mad at him. I'm not mad.
I'll take it.
All right.
All right, Max, you heard those stats.
Yep.
Does this prove Brady, as in Tom Brady, 6 rings, you've heard of him, is no longer elite?
Yes, it does. Tom Brady is no longer elite. Look, when you talk about the Patriots, you're talking about elite D, not elite QB. You know what Tom Brady's job is? It's to not lose the game. He's a game manager. That's an okay thing to be. That is not a dirty word. You can win the Super Bowl with a game manager. Look at Peyton Manning, who was bad when the Broncos won the Super Bowl. He wasn't as good as Tom Brady is now. They've both fallen off a cliff by that point in their career. Of course, Peyton Manning had an excuse. He had an injury. Tom Brady is he's ancient. And by the way, being ancient is almost equivalent to an injury. Your body can't do the same things anymore. What is a game manager? Game manager is a good decision maker who relies on his defense and luck. That's how the Patriots are winning. Like, I know luck is the residue of design. But the fact is, a tripping call? What, with the game on the line? A tripping call? It's like the refs were the ones tripping and slipping, by the way. Tom Brady's job is to not lose the game. He's mid-pack in QBR, and that's with Bill Belichick as a head coach. He's middle-of-the-pack QBR, and I don't hear anyone arguing Tom Brady is elite anymore, unless, Stephen A., you want to.
Well, I'm not going to want to because I understand where you're coming from. I'm just going to highlight the fact that I think this particular season, it's unfair to do that. Now, if we want to sit up there and say and bring up the cliff, what you said 3 years ago, and you meant it 3 years ago,
why are you bringing up facts?
2 years ago, and all of this other stuff, that's a different argument because obviously you were on an island all by yourself, somewhere in the Philippines or wherever the hell you were. It's your brain. I don't know what the hell you were talking about. But if you want to talk about this year, here's what I'm going to say. Let's take a look at what Tom Brady's situation was. I've repeatedly pointed this out about Antonio Brown. Tom Brady was so desperate that a person that was accused of sexual assault, Tom Brady invited into his home and said, you know what, I'll take care of you. Stay right here. Stay right here. Please don't leave. Please don't leave. Let's make sure we keep this man, okay? That's how desperate Tom Brady was for a quarterback, okay? You got Josh Gordon, who's now gone. You got Rob Gronkowski, who's now working on Fox because he retired, okay? And then you look at the weapons that he has here. Of course, Edelman is Edelman. We get all of that. But you've got Jacoby Myers, N'Keal Harry. That was his 4th reception of the season, for crying out loud. Okay, Rex Burkhead is a running back. Mm-hmm. He's catching passes. He's getting targeted 5 times and stuff like that. My God, Lacassi, the tight end, I believe that's how you pronounce his name. He caught a pass, He's got 6 receptions on the damn season. Are we going to be fair to a 6-time champion, somebody who's been to 9 Super Bowls? Are we at least going to step back and exercise fairness and go like this? Damn. What is he having to work with this season? Now, yesterday he missed some throws. Even though I'm not going to use inclement weather as a total excuse, clearly he missed some throws. But that weather, it was not only raining, it was not only cold, gusty winds and what have you.
So dramatic.
Hold on, wait a minute, Stephen A.
I know, but
wait a minute. I'm going to pull the Stephen A.
Tom Brady has played.
Conditions, inclement weather.
Hold on.
Can you do a weather report for me one day?
All I'm trying to say to you is this. Take into account what the brother's working with. I'm like, my God, these guys, I've never heard of these guys in my life. And I mean, and based on the amount of time and the amount of receptions they've had, not to have Tom Brady until recently. Burkhead. I mean, give the guy some slack.
This is so Max has been on this cliff. You're right, Stephen A. I thought it was longer than 3 years. I thought it was about the time I retired from football where Max was saying that Tom Brady was going to be on this cliff. And so if you walk long enough, you'll fall off. But what happens is when your cliff is as high as Tom Brady, when you are on the top of the mountain, even if you fall down a little bit, it becomes very noticeable. And that's what's noticeable about Tom Brady. We used to feel like Tom Brady could have any set of receivers and he could make them better. He is no longer that player. But this is bigger than just Tom Brady aging out. This is bigger than Tom Brady no longer being elite. This is the change of the game. If you look at the top 7 offenses as yardage goes in this league, they're all mobile quarterbacks. And the one team that's in the top 7 that's not a mobile quarterback is Jimmy G. And they have Kyle Shanahan, who I think is the best play designer and caller in the game. The game has changed. No longer can you just sit in the pocket and be a statue, be statuesque, look over the defense and pick apart teams. You need to be able to move. Tom Brady's never been able to do that. And so now, if you're Josh McDaniels, you have to adjust. You have to use different things. And you're right about his weapons. And you mentioned Julian Edelman. And I think back to probably one of the silliest things I ever heard was after Julian Edelman won the MVP of the Super Bowl, people were saying he's a Pro Bowl, a Hall of Fame wide receiver. He's not Deion Branch. I will play Julian Edelman before I play Deion Branch any day. Tom Brady doesn't have people to throw the ball to. And when you don't have these things and you don't have people that can bail you out, when you don't have a Michael Thomas, as Stephen A. was mentioning that Drew Brees has, it's now based upon what you can do from a talent perspective. And Tom Brady has been great. Tom Brady understands defense. He knows what you need to do as the New England Patriots quarterback in and out. but he can't get away from rushes. There's no one beating one-on-one
I think
coverages.
that's a great point. You're making a lot of great points, Ryan. The game has changed. He's gotten older, and it's like a perfect storm. Plus, he doesn't have the weapons
Absolutely.
now. But Tom Brady has been one of the luckiest players in the history of American team sports. Don't get me wrong. He would be wait, hold on. Tom Brady would be a great player, no matter where he went. He has that inside him. But he would not be the GOAT had he not been with Belichick. And even this year, you look at it, the Ravens game I predicted was not going to be a real reflection of what was going on. I thought there was a good chance they lose it because I thought Belichick would be probing to throw everything at them, see what works, what doesn't, because he thinks he's going to see him again in the playoffs. Other than that game, 13 points to the Browns, 10 to the Eagles, 9 to the Cowboys.
Right there.
And let me just finish this thought, Stephen A. And the reason I bring up those last 4 weeks is because before that, the questions were being asked. Is this the greatest defense ever? And other than that one game, it's 13, 10, and 9 points.
First of all, the first 7 of the first 8 games, they scored 30 or more. They had 27 against the Browns, and then they nosedive against the Baltimore Ravens.
Easiest schedule.
So basically, the last 3 weeks has been problematic for them. But I want to hear from Ryan this, but I'm going to ask you a question to get a quick answer and then go to Ryan. You talk about Brady and what he is because of Bill Belichick.
Yeah.
Well, what is Bill Belichick without Tom Brady?
Bill Belichick could have taken a guy, say, like Phillip Rivers. You need a good quarterback. But when he had Matt Castle, he won 11 games. He would not be Belichick, the greatest coach of all time. I agree.
That's one season.
But Belichick, in other words, if you want to weigh Belichick and Brady, Belichick is a greater coach than Brady is a player. Belichick benefited less from his association with Brady than the other way around. Real quick, Joe Montana and Walsh, right? Montana was 4-0 Super Bowls. Look up the record. 13 TDs, no interceptions.
I don't have to look up the record. I know talent when I see it, and I know that Tom Brady has it. And what I was closed by giving this to Ryan is this. Even though it's a different sport, a lot of people could question Steve Kerr today. We wouldn't think of doing such a thing because we saw what he has done as a coach when he has players.
We know that Kerr has benefited more from his players than the other way around.
Yeah, but still, it doesn't take away from the greatness of Steve Kerr.
No, it doesn't take away from the greatness of Steve Kerr, obviously, but now you see that you need both of them.
You need players.
I think Bill Belichick is a better coach than Steve Kerr it is in basketball.
I'm not saying that. But I'm not denying that.
The other part about this with Tom Brady is you believe that Bill Belichick can find ways to win without Tom Brady. We saw him go 11-5 with Matt Castle. We saw him go 3-1 during Tom Brady's suspension. But here's the other part. Some of the greatness of Bill Belichick is understanding that we need to move on from Drew Bledsoe to the 6th-round pick, who is Tom Brady, without a certain amount of talent. The last thing is this, and I will ask you guys this. Even with Tom Brady being what he is now, do you believe they can win a Super Bowl? Because I do. And I know it's going to be difficult, but if you go back to last year, when he needed to make plays against Kansas City, late in the fourth quarter, late in overtime, he was able to do it. Also in the Super Bowl, Max made the point, you don't have to be elite.
Listen, I want to go to a question around. I want to go to a question with Ryan. Excuse me. In the midst of us calling and recognizing the greatness of Tom Brady, we did see him lose an AFC championship game to Peyton Manning in the Indianapolis Colts. The ball was in his hands, and they couldn't close, and Indy won the game and ultimately beat Chicago in the Super Bowl. There have been great moments where Tom Brady couldn't get it done. I'll close by asking you this question, Ryan Clark. If y'all feel that way about Tom Brady, why has it been that all of these years, knowing he had Bill Belichick, that y'all have been talking about how he's the GOAT? Why have you? Why have you been calling him the GOAT as football players if we're going to now lean back and say, excuse me, Bill Belichick? That's the reason why.
They can both be the greatest of all time at doing what they do, and that's what they are. And Tom Brady, when you look at a quarterbacks to me are credited with some wins that they don't deserve. But Tom Brady still has 6 rings. He was once the best quarterback in football, which is shown by the MVP.
He's the
and
GOAT.
when you have all those things, you're the greatest.
He's the GOAT.
At the end of the day, they are 10-1. Wake me up when someone beats them in the AFC Championship game. We really have to go. So I need one-word answer from you here, Ryan, because we talked about this earlier. Who has less to work with right now, Carson Wentz or Tom Brady?
Carson Wentz.
Thank you. Still to come, both the Browns and Steelers got wins yesterday. So which one has the better shot at making the playoffs?
Brady's got more to work with than Wentz.
That question,
I heard it.
That question that you asked was like asking who's the tallest person in the small man's contest. Go ahead.
Plus, the Niners got a huge win over Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. It's time for Stephen A to give it up to Jimmy G.
What a feast. Spiced ham, carved turkey, prime rib on the weekends at a price that lets me treat the whole family. Doesn't get more festive than that. Or does it?
Prime Rib Weekends at Golden Corral. The only one for everyone.
When your energy is spent, but there's so much more you want to do. New Starbucks Triple Shot Energy. 225 milligrams of caffeine for the energy to do what matters to you. What gives you energy?
Rated T through F.
Slow motion is better than no motion. 4 goons in the black bourbon and we coasting to the spot to set up shop and we posting. Up glasses in the air, yeah, we toasting.
PS4 bundle starting at $199.
PlayStation.
By 1901, Major Taylor was considered the greatest athlete in the world. But he was still searching for something else. A true rival. Hennessy, never stop, never settle.
Is there a standoff brewing in your home? Can't agree on a traditional coffee maker versus a single serve? Steer clear of a showdown with the Cuisinart Coffee Center and have the best of both worlds, all with one appliance. The single-serve brewer uses our home barista reusable filter cup or any variety K-Cup with 3 cup sizes and instant heat up. The programmable 12-cup brewer lets you enjoy premium features like adjustable brew strength, auto on and off, and brew pause. The Cuisinart Coffee Center. When it comes to coffee makers, you can have it all.
At AutoZone, batteries are kind of our thing. After our free testing, turns out she just needed new cables. This guy, just a fresh charge. And for them, it was time for a change. Welcome to America's #1 battery destination. Getting the job done just got easier.
I have a structured settlement, but I need cash now.
Call J.G. Wentworth, 877 cash now.
I have an annuity, but I need cash now.
Call J.G. Wentworth, 877 cash now. 877 cash now.
They've helped thousands, they'll help you too.
One lump sum of cash they will pay to you.
If you get long-term payments, but you need cash now.
Call J.G. Wentworth, 877 cash now.
877 cash now.
877 cash now.
877 cash now.
It's your money. Use it when you need it.
Call J.G. Wentworth, 877 cash now. Call now.
You know we were playing around today? It's Christmas morning. Let's go. Riders around the world. Let's create some magic. We rise in 3, 2, 1.
Our kind of joy feels different. This holiday, give the gift of Peloton.
It's a big one for both teams. Our Week 12 Monday Night Football matchup has Lamar Jackson leading the Ravens into L.A. to take on Aaron Donald and the Rams. 8 Eastern on ESPN, ESPN Deportes, and the app. Our coverage begins with Monday Night Countdown at 6. No Jared Goff on that promo. The Steelers handed the Bengals their 11th loss yesterday despite a poor enough showing by starting quarterback Mason Rudolph that he was pulled in the third quarter. Backup quarterback Devlin Duck Hodges took his place, and Mike Tomlin explained the quarterback change after the game.
Made a quarterback change in the second half there. Just felt like our offense needed a spark. Mason wasn't doing enough. Duck came in and provided us with a spark, made a couple plays. We'll see what next week holds next week. But I like the contributions of Duck. I like his readiness. I appreciate the efforts of Mason, and also appreciate the support of Mason after we made the change.
Quite the turn of events in the Steel City. Ryan Clark back here with us, former Steeler. The Steelers are now second in the AFC North behind the Ravens, more likely to make the playoffs, Stephen A. The 6-5 Steelers or the 5-6 Browns?
I'm going to roll with the Steelers. I think their defense has been elite. I'll leave the scheduling situation to Max. But I want to say this. I applaud. First of all, I listen, Kyle Shanahan has been absolutely sensational. But I don't think anybody has done a better coaching job than Mike Tomlin. I do think that Kyle Shanahan will win Coach of the Year.
Preach.
But I think that Mike Tomlin deserves it. I think he's just proven himself to be just outstanding. Okay, that's number one. The defense, again, number two. Number three, I got to tell you something. I have been a fan of Devlin Hodges since I saw him earlier this season. I think he's better than Mason Rudolph. I like him. Undrafted out of Samford. Not Stanford. Samford, for crying out loud.
Samford and Sons?
This dude, let me tell you something. I like
Red
this
Fox
kid.
University.
Listen, I like this kid. I like his arm strength. I like how he flings the football. I like the fact that the couple of times I saw him this year, he was inserted in at a moment's notice. That's just an embarrassing situation by that cornerback for Cincinnati, by the way, to get shoved aside like that. I mean, that was worse than what Vance McDonald did to Tampa last year. That's just embarrassing, okay? And Cincinnati's an absolute joke, and we get all that. So as far as I'm concerned, the Steelers had a bye week because Cincinnati can't play. And even though I still agree with their decision to get rid of Marvin Lewis, ain't nobody told him to hire Zach Taylor. I ain't tell him to do that, okay? That's a different subject for another day. In the end, when I look at the Steelers and Ben Roethlisberger is out, Antonio Brown is gone. Le'Veon Bell is gone. Mason Rudolph is your backup. Your defense supposedly was suspect at the beginning of the season, and then you picked up Minka Fitzpatrick, who's made a world of difference to them. I just think that the Steelers right now are rolling in such a fashion that it's only going to quality teams are what's going to have to take them out, and I believe even they'll beat those guys. I expect the Steelers to win at least 3 of their final 5 games, possibly 4, and I think that will be too much for Cleveland to catch them. That's why I'm rolling with Steelers.
They're ahead of Cleveland right now.
Yeah,
so you think the odds are with them.
Yes.
But I'm glad you brought up what the Steelers are going to have to do to win the division, to make the playoffs. Because take a look at the schedule, guys. Side by side.
Right.
There we go.
Let's just take it game by game, and obviously they have the matchup against each other. Let's table that for a second.
They're beating them.
What's an easier game, Bengals or at Cardinals? Bengals are easier than at Cardinals or Bills. At Cardinals is an easier game than the Bills. Bills got 8 wins and a real defense.
Yeah, but primarily because of their defense.
Okay.
That's a home game for the Steelers. I think the Bills are going to lose that game.
If you look at point differentials, all that stuff, Bills are a better team.
I think Steelers going to win that game.
Then the Browns have the tougher assignment, obviously Ravens.
Yeah.
But then the Steelers have the tougher assignment again, which means 3 of the 4 weeks after they face each other, the Steelers really have the tougher game. You can argue Bills, Cardinals. I think that's a tougher game for the Steelers. But the point is, it could come down to the head-to-head matchup. Now, I appreciate what you said about Mike Tomlin. He's Coach of the Year. And he's making lemonade out of lemons. I mean, Mason Rudolph's not a starting quarterback. They don't have a starting quarterback. So he's trying to mix and match and figure out what he can do and what buttons to push when. And I appreciate what you said about Minka Fitzpatrick. Because when when Nick Saban says, that guy is as good as I've ever had, and then Mike Tomlin says, that guy, I need that guy in a midseason trade. And as soon as they get Minka Fitzpatrick, they go from, a pretty good defense to an elite defense. But look at the way the Browns are playing now. They've only started to tap their potential. Yes, it coincided with the schedule getting weaker. But also the offensive line has now had a chance to play together. They have their players healthy, mostly, for the first time all season. Still don't have their tight end. But they have both their wideouts and both their elite-level running backs. for the first time now, the Cleveland Browns are rounding into shape just as the schedule is getting easier, and just when this, but with spit and bubble gum, Mike Tomlin's trying to keep this thing together, has to bench his quarterback because they didn't really have a quarterback. I think the Browns are more, if either one of these teams make the playoffs at this moment, I think the Browns are more likely to make it, Stephen A.
Go ahead, Ryan.
I think when you look at these teams, if I took them head-to-head right now, just on a neutral field, I think the Browns are the better team. They're the more talented team. Obviously, they have more going on. But when you look at this season and how it will play out, the Steelers have the better chance to make the playoffs, and here's why. I believe the Steelers win this week, and I picked this schedule 3 weeks ago, and that was with Mason Rudolph starting at quarterback. And I believe if he was still starting, that the Browns would win, because I talked to people in Cleveland. They didn't want Mason Rudolph to continue playing quarterback because of the incident. They wanted him to continue playing quarterback because he couldn't read cover 2, because he couldn't make the right decisions. And now you have a guy in Duck Hodges who has no fear, who went into Los Angeles against Phillip Rivers, against the Chargers, and got a win. The defense made plays, and he came out and made the throws that he needed to make. And now we see him in relief against the Cincinnati Bengals, and he was a spark plug. He was a guy who didn't look like the moment was too big, and he might be from Sanford, and he's from a small school, but he wasn't one of those dudes that went to a small school and didn't excel, and went to a small school and didn't make the throws that he needed to make to put him in this position. He was the star of the preseason for the Pittsburgh Steelers. He was one of those guys that was down in Latrobe that the fans started to want to see, that they came out to watch play. And he's going to be the spark plug that ignites this team to win this game against the Browns. And as the schedule unfolds, I believe it will get harder. And we may end up being that neither of these teams make the playoffs when we watch things shake out. But the Steelers have the better chance. They have the better coach. They have the better coach, and they have the better defense.
Well, first of all, we agree there. And let's just break this down. I'm not saying we don't know if either of them will make the team. The question was who had the better chance.
Right.
And the reason why I believe the Steelers have the better chance, I believe the Steelers are going to avenge that Thursday night loss next Sunday. That will put the Steelers up 2 games on Cleveland with 4 to go, which means that Cleveland will have to get a 3-game advantage